We just got back from some time travel. Some intended by the game, some self-inflicted. By doing so, our Pokemon can now reach level 125. There are 6 new quests on this level tier to undertake. But 6 times 2 is 12, and that's how many theme teams I've planned for this episode. We took a break last time from theme teams, but it's time to get back to it. The first character up is Adrian, who has one of the highest count of teams at 5. Their first one is Chronomancy, a battle that takes place on psychic terrain, something that, without spoiling it, is going to feature ridiculously often in this episode. And it begins with Tapu Koko. So let's start with a misplay. Aerodactyl is holding a Megastone, but so is Mawile, so I don't want to Mega Evolve him, and he immediately feints to Thunderbolt. Good, let's get the shitty plays out early. Slowbro comes out, and I'm thinking that this is wasted effort, but Koko believed it didn't have the power to kill Slowbro, and light screened instead as I Trick Roomed. I wish I had Brick Break here, but I go for the stronger Psychic, but I'm not getting a 2-shot with that. Tapu Koko, meanwhile, is going to get the 2-shot with Thunderbolt. The Mega I wanted to use, Mawile like usual, comes out and beats Koko with ease. Then by learning the next Pokemon on Adrian's team, you'll learn 2 others. Tapu Fini is coming out next. I'm just going to say this now without any context, but what are the chances this theme team was in this episode? I did not intend this. That'll make sense later. Anyway, Vanillix comes out to the Water Fairy type, but between its bulk, Light Screen, and a subsequent Moonblast that lowers Vanillix's special attack, he makes little headway. Mawile has to beat up a second Tapu for her teammates, and stays for the third one, Tapu Lele. The most at-home Tapu on this field is smacked with Iron Head and faints immediately. Very sadly, Trick Room ended as another Steel-weak Pokemon was coming out. Not Bulu, but Gardevoir. For some unfathomable reason, I believe I have a chance to beat it with Houndoom's Dark Pulse, and am proven very wrong. He dies to Moonblast. Then of course, I make another mistake when I bring out Aegislash. I use Shadow Sneak. That does not work on Psychic Terrain, and she's put to sleep. Then her dream is eaten, and she is one-shot. Geez, getting into attack form just screwed me over big time. I held back Mawile hoping to save her for the last 2 Pokemon, but she has to eat a Moonblast to kill Gardevoir. Now Tapu Bulu is here, but Mawile gets Zen headbutted. Then stays on her feet and says, "You call that a headbutt? This is a headbutt." Sadly, my one-liner goes to waste when I still need to beat a Sylveon with 12 HP left. I don't. Second try, we don't bother having Aerodactyl up front. We go right for Trick Room since Tapu Koko can't knock her out in one hit. Of course, I forgot to give her Brick Break to shatter that light, so the same outcome occurs. Mawile beats Tapu 1, and Fini is next. I attempt to use Aegislash for it, which honestly that probably wasn't more attack than Mawile, and fall short, Aegislash dying to Shadow Ball. Then Mawile comes back and Iron Head bonks Fini, Sylveon, and Lele in one hit each. When Trick Room runs out, Tapu Bulu is arriving, and I have a reason to use something other than Mawile. I thought, until Houndoom is outsped and killed by Megahorn. I believe that Aerodactyl would have little value here, but Bulu then backs up for Gardevoir, letting Aerodactyl's fly take place. He lands on Gardevoir and almost kills it, but it responds with a lethal Moonblast. Then, without being able to use Sucker Punch, Ironhead goes second, letting Gardevoir hurt Mawile before Bulu reappears. But when Mawile gets Zen headbutted again, she stays on her feet and says, "Oh, never mind." By the way, Chronomancy? No idea. I assume it's just about how Adrian got stuck in time and maybe some kind of joke about no priority. Battle number 2, Machine Dreams. It's always interesting and a bit nerve-wracking when a theme team chooses to use a low-level field like Factory. Of course, Steel Fairy has a lot of options, such as this Clef Key. Once again, Aerodactyl is up front doing nothing of use, hitting a poor Iron Head before being one-shot by Flash Cannon. Before I'm able to melt that keychain with Houndoom, it Pranksters Reflect. Out next is a Pokemon that megas about as often as we've seen it, besides Lopunny, Deontay, and this time will be no exception. Slowbro Trick Rooms and gets shot by Moonblast, then launches back a Surf for a one-shot. Good thing I have ample Steel types for Adrian, because next is Xerneas. Then I go and misplay again, by playing rough with Mawile. She survives to attack with the correct move, but that costs me both HP and Trick Room time. Time I desperately need for Mimikyu. Having blown most of Mawile's HP, I have her Sucker Punch the disguise off, die to Shadow Sneak, then move to Aegislash, who doesn't kill with his own Shadow Sneak and then watches its Swords Dance. I use Aegislash very badly by not King Shielding first and die to Shadow Sneak. Somehow, Slowbro lives one of those and finishes off the stupid sneaker. But Tapu Koko comes back right as Trick Room ends, Vanillix is blasted by a laser-focused discharge, Houndoom has to Destiny Bond it, and I have a 1/3 HP Slowbro to somehow beat Magearna. One Shadow Ball says that's not happening. So what mistakes do I fix? First, Houndoom is up front and Heat Waves Klefki twice, it only putting up Reflect again. Then, though it is at a severe cost to herself, Mawile Brick Breaks Deontay to remove the screen, just surviving Gear Grind. Then I absolutely still use Aegislash wrong and try using Shadow Sneak even though she already survived one Diamond Storm in Defense Stance. So she faints. Slowbro beats Deontay like before, and Xerneas is here. Iron Head in the mouth, and next is Magearna, who I seriously have no answer to. As such, I just let Mawile stay. Ironhead gets close to winning, but she falls to Shadow Ball. Surf from Slowbro both beats Magearna and lets her regenerate again as Tapu Koko comes out. However, Vanillix comes out and fails to beat Koko with Blizzard, forcing Slowbro to finish it off again. And finally, Mimikyu. I have a Trick Room turn left, but obviously I need two. The disguise breaks, but Shadow Claw goes first on turn 2, and Slowbro is done. But with his superior speed, Aerodactyl comes out and finally gets to do something today, beating Mimikyu with Iron Head. So I stick him back up front for the next fight. Happily ever after. Oh dear God, no! Yep, did you think you'd never fight Adrian on their actual gym field of Fairy Tail? But Aerodactyl gets to have a great start seeing in Alolan Ninetales that he outspeeds in one-shots with Iron Head. But against Klefki on a field that does not permit me to use Houndoom for any fire attack ever, I have no choice but to just have Aerodactyl flinch it twice in a row! Sadly, on the third attack, Aerodactyl gets Thunder Waved, but still beats the Klefki in such an unlikely way. It seems that after the first theme team, Adrian is spreading the 4 Tapus out to their other battles. Here's Feeny. Dumbly, I forgot there's no Trick Room, and Vanillix comes out to be run through with Secret Sword. Against that, I have little answer, so I have Houndoom do what he does best, especially in this fight. Die. Except that instead, Feeny's Secret Sword crits, and yet still doesn't kill him. Can you please not screw me over? But you know what's good? Instead of kill Houndoom, Tapu Fini leaves, and my favorite appears. Primarina. Favorite to kill with Destiny Bond, which thankfully reactivated just in time. But another duplication from Adrian hits the field. Magearna. Where is Camerupt when you need him? Horribly, Slowbro never Trick Rooms, being decimated by Fluor Cannon. Mawile has to take a lower power one, Iron Head, then Sucker Punch. Tapu Fini is reappearing, and now I have to hope that Fairy Tail's greatest Pokemon, Aegislash, can take this fight. Fini goes first and scalds her, but she responds with Iron Head and one-shots her. On neutral damage, that's nuts. The final Pokemon is Altaria, and since we know Adrian is a fairy user, it's only natural it Mega Evolves. I King Shield its Flamethrower, and then I throw any potential chance away by then following with Shadow Sneak. It was so likely that Iron Head killed and Dragon Pulse did not, while still in defense mode. Instead, Aegislash faints, Aerodactyl paralyzed is too slow, and Mawile Sucker Punch is not even close to killing. I should understand that the reason Aegislash is so good is because she can hide with her ludicrous defense before attacking second, instead of attacking first and then just being murked. On the next try after Ninetales, I send Aegislash out to Klefki. She gets paralyzed, but thanks to powering through it and the hail from Ninetales, her Iron Head does enough to get the kill through weather. Primarina is back, and I rather liked using Destiny Bond on it. So that happens again. Blind, I send out Slowbro, only to be given Magirna again, who then gives me a gift of a missed Fluor Cannon. That's all Slowbro needs to Trick Room and do barely any damage, but whatever. Aegislash can then wreck the rest of the Magirna. Feeny comes out of its shell, Vanillix softens it with Freeze Dry, Mawile headers it down. Finally, the Mega Altaria shows up again, and we hit that fluffy bird with Iron Head to win the fight. 2 tries, 3 times in a row. But the next fight wasn't just 2 tries. Atop Olympus. Up on top of a mountain is a doubles fight. Oh joy. Togekiss and not Mega Diancie lead, and then this opening happens. Aerodactyl misses both of them with Rock Slide. Vanillix clutches his way through a Serene Grace Air Slash to blizzard them, but Togekiss survives on a hair, eats a berry to avoid dying to hail, and Aerodactyl is killed by Diamond Storm, Vanillix somehow alive still. But yeah, would have been great not to miss both of them with Rock Slide. From there, Togekiss uses Silver Wind to kill Vanillix, then pull off a Quint boost. Yeah, checking out. Slowbro dodges a Diamond Storm in Trick Rooms, so maybe we turn this around? Well, we almost got screwed when after killing Togekiss with Ice Beam, Diancie was slower than Mawile and Earth powered her, but she lived that. Iron Head splits Diancie in half. You know, I realize, seeing Primarina and Alolan Ninetales next, that I basically just hate Fairy type. I crash into Ninetales with Mawile to head off the Aurora Veil, but Slowbro's Psychic wasn't going to kill Primarina, who then yodels Mawile off the mountain. Adrian then tripled up on Tapu Koko as I sent out Aegislash. My Sword and Shield killed Primarina, but Ice Beam even buffed up is too little for Koko, who thunders Slowbro. But then my chance falls off this mountain since Houndoom is my other Pokemon left in Trick Room, as Mawile comes out against me, and like mine, it's Mega. I decide I have to get rid of Koko first with Aegislash, but Houndoom is Rock Slided down by Mawile before attacking. Then, instead of doing the best move of King Shield, I forget entirely about the move that I use obsessively on Mawile, Sucker Punch, which knocks out Aegislash. God, that's awful. I was right there. Turns out that the opening of that fight with Togekiss and Diancie is an absolute shitfest, as those two can flinch the hell out of you easily. I found the best way to handle it on attempt 5, which was to put Choice Band on Aerodactyl so he can go first and kill Togekiss right away, while Mawile is up front with him to Iron Head the slower Diancie. Ice Tails and Koko show up, and I had learned that the Tapu outsped Aerodactyl for Thunder. For that, Zebstrika is here to Lightning Rod that, while Ninetales sets up an Aurora Veil, only for it to be brick broken right off the bat. Unfortunately, I now end up losing Aerodactyl anyway trying to bring him back, since Koko won't use an electric attack. Aerodactyl instead dies to Dazzling Gleam and Blizzard, while Mawile kills Ninetales. Primarina and Houndoom come back to their destiny, but Mawile is beaten by Thunder before she can attack Tapu Koko. My chance to Trick Room now is pretty much gone in front of Koko, and we still have to deal with Mega Mawile. I have to bait Thunder into Slowbro again to let Zeb eat it up, but then he dies to play rough anyway, while Aegislash is unable to kill Tapu Koko with Iron Head. I'm so screwed. How do I deal with this? Trick Room is too late now, so I just go for Psychic against Mawile and King Shield. See ya, Slowbro. Wait, what? Mawile Sucker Punched against Aegislash instead, so it failed? Koko thundered her too, which did nothing? Psychic then also lowered Mawile's special defense. Oh shit, what is about to happen? I Shadow Sneak at Tapu Koko and Surf. The Tapu finally gets out of here, Slowbro lives a play rough, and here goes Surf. Oh! It was so close to dying. All three of us are on our last breaths. But then I realize it. Mawile can't win. I have Shadow Sneak, which means all it can do is Sucker Punch to kill Slowbro instead of using Rock Slide, and I beat Mawile at the very last second. Holy fuck! Talk about miraculous! Speaking of which, that's Adrian's last theme team, and as the name suggests like it usually does, Adrian now utilizes Holyfield. For the 5th time, Aerodactyl leads, and it's against Deontay. Devastatingly, it goes first as Omega and Diamond storms him. Slowbro goes out and Nature Power Judgment rains down on her. She lived. With Trick Room, she can surf the Deontay, but it also lived, and Slowbro faints. Aegislash can mop it up and be ready for Clefable next, but Ironhead leaves it with a pixel of HP to then have it respond with neutral Hyper Voice to kill Aegislash. I doink the Clefable with Mawile, Trick Room ticking, and yet fucking again, Magearna. In a huge boon to this attempt, its Fluor Cannon once again missed, letting 2 Ironheads through to kill it. Now here's another Tapu, Lele. With Trick Room still with us, Ironhead can bat that one away, but now Trick Room is out. Togekiss is flying in, but I still have Zebstrika, and he's holding Electrium Z. Gigavolt Havoc turns the Togekiss into a pile of soot, and the last opponent is Gardevoir. Why employ strategy? Instead, just say cheese. Destiny Bond finishes the fight on a first try, and a good note to end on for Adrian's theme teams. Thus, we can move on to the person right after them alphabetically, Amaria, who sports 4 more teams, the first being Contradictory Impulses, which is on Glitch Field. And out front, facing Amaria's Empoleon, is Alakazam. This is his chronological debut for me, in this series of theme teams. Why him against a water trainer? Well, Mega Alakazam is ludicrously fast and powerful, and he has Energy Ball. Sadly, Empoleon kind of screws that idea, as it sets up Stealth Rock and tries to one-shot him with Hydro Cannon. It thankfully doesn't, and Alakazam can barely chop the Empoleon down with Psychic and Energy Ball. Next up, though, is Greninja. I send out my washing machine, only to then get really pissed off at Glitchfield again. Greninja just forsook its types with a Seed, though that's really odd with Greninja, as his Protean gives him a type back anyway. But it just outspeeds Rotom now to Gunk Shot it down in one hit. This gives Alakazam the perfect timing to come back to Psychic it, but Stealth Rock takes a toll. Blastoise is up next, and I decide to go into Jumpluff to hopefully put it to sleep and Leech Seed. This, however, doesn't benefit him, as he takes 2 turns putting Leech Seed on Blastoise, and then it wakes up in blizzards. A Gigavolt Havoc from Galvantula fails to kill, as Hydro Cannon blows him away, and then when Alakazam returns, he's hit with Aqua Jet and he's down too. But just when a normal-typed Dark Pulse from Houndoom fails to kill or flinch, Blastoise then misses Hydro Cannon, and then Leech Seed kills it. Totally worth it. Okay, not really. Amaria sends out Swampert, who Mega Evolves and overpowers the rest of my team. 2 more losses as I was trying to figure out how to kill Empoleon in one hit, and how to deal with every bulky water Pokemon ever. I then start with Choice Specs Rotom with Thunder, and only now I discover that this damn penguin has a Focus Sash. I thankfully land a second Thunder, as it only Stealth Rocked, then Amaria sends out Swampert. That's really nice for Alakazam, who destroys it with Energy Ball. Then I bring in a doomed Bastiodon, who can't sturdy because of Stealth Rocks, and he dies to Greninja's Hydro Cannon. This did bait Greninja into Water type though, letting Alakazam land another kill. This is when you may realize, like Florinia and Charlotte, that naturally Amaria also has a team full of water starters. The next one being Samurott. I've been throwing Gigavolt Havoc at her Pokemon with Galvantula, but only now does it actually kill something from full HP. Then comes Blastoise again, and my first ever starter is just too difficult to deal with. So Destiny Bond. This brings it to the last Pokemon. And which of the last 2 water starters do you think Amaria picked? Hint, it wasn't Feraligatr. It was Primarina. This invites a second fateful encounter between Galvantula and Primarina, like in Glass Hell. But his Thunderbolt, even critting, leaves Primarina with a third. A third that he gets too, when it missed Hydro Cannon. Awesome finish. Amaria's theme team names, you'll notice, are not the brightest, especially not Shadowy Anguish, which takes place on Swamp. A Quillfish leads, jabs Rotom hard with poison, but dies to Thunder. Greninja's back though, who takes down Rotom and Galvantula with Surfs after tanking one Thunderbolt. Alakazam has to Energy Ball it down, then has to meet a Pokemon who Swamp favors, Toxapex. Even with my Mega's power, Psychic only takes half after it uses a Seed to go defensive, and its Gunk Shot wipes out Alakazam. Slowbro goes out to outspeed manually with Psychic, but that doesn't kill either, and it starts recovering. No! I then get bad timing and switch to Houndoom for Destiny Bond as it wound up a Gunk Shot that took him out. What then sucks so much is when I go to Hariyama, Belly Drum, dodge a Gunk Shot, activate Guts, and use Knockoff, only for it to live with a quarter because it had no item. Gunk Shot then beats Hariyama, and when Psychic once more leaves it alive to recover, the attempt goes in the trash. The second one quickly goes with it when I find out that Alakazam doesn't outspeed Greninja, who instead goes up front to deal with Quillfish easily. I first think the Swift Swim I just traced activates on Swamp, but find out it doesn't, so I switch to Houndoom. Houndoom using Choice Scarf does outspeed the frog, and we both sink into the swamp. That's when Toxapex returns, who my Rotom is going to wash. Thunderbolt brings it down by half, Rotom survives Gunk Shot while getting poisoned, but then Toxapex gains some health back from its seed item, and the second Thunderbolt doesn't kill. Except that it missed Gunk Shot, and we kill it anyway. Poison, however, took Rotom at the same time. Blind again, I go into Vanillix, and then face something really annoying. Volcanion! Vanillix gets melted instantly by Flamethrower, but incredibly importantly, Galvantula's Gigavolt kills Volcanion. Wouldn't have guessed that, but now we get the most fitting Pokemon for this field, Swampert. Even Mega again, it stood no chance against Energy Ball, and neither did Amaria's last, Amistar. Shadowy Anguish done, though I don't know the reason behind that name, though I can imagine how this fight applies to Amaria. Always sinking. Amaria then does Inward Contemplation, at a good place for it, Ashen Beach, but it isn't good for us, as this is what she leads with. After its counterpart showed itself 2 episodes ago, Primal Kyogre now appears. Seems as though Amaria found her own blue orb and didn't have to steal it from a train. Energy Ball from Alakazam just can't beat Sin over there, whose Surf is monumental. Galvantula shocks the whale down next, only for a mythical to appear, Keldeo. It outspeeds Galvantula to one-shot with Surf too. Already running out of ideas, I Destiny Bond it, and think I have to do Trick Room now. So I send Slowbro. And so does Amaria. It goes for Surfs that are stronger, but I'm fishing for a Psychic Special Defense drop. After 2, I get it, and take Slowbro away to regenerate as Rotom comes in to tank Surf. With less special defense, Rotom kills with Thunderbolt. But speed becomes a real problem against Starmie. Unbelievably luckily, Slowbro survives its powered-up hidden power to Trick Room, slap it with Surf, then Vanillix shows up to Freeze Dry to finish it. Still, there are 2 Pokemon left to mine, and the first one is Blastoise. I find out too that Rotom is faster normally, so Blastoise goes first, and also Mega Evolves. 1 Dark Pulse beats Rotom, and Vanillix would need a crit beyond all crits to have a chance. Oh, if he had it would have killed, but Aura Sphere shoots from Blastoise and the fight is over. And my god, did this Blastoise then massacre me. It was utterly infuriating with this particular team, because it sat at the perfect speed to fuck over my fast Pokemon, and I had too few slow Pokemon that could decently hurt it. Meanwhile, between Kyogre and Keldeo being so hard to fight without hemorrhaging Pokemon, this battle quickly became tied with our frontrunner theme team from Hardy. This came about after my 6th loss, where Alakazam missed the kill on the final Blastoise by a thread. Apparently, the sand-based fields are the worst. Attempt 7 was when I stopped using Destiny Bond on Kyogre, bringing in Zebstrika to use Gigavolt Havoc, and of all the options I had tested, this was the first that killed Kyogre outright. This makes Keldeo free when it wants to come out next. Alakazam can outspeed and blast it with Psychic. Zeb goes out to Slowbro to take away most of its HP, then feint to one Surf. Rotom cleans it up, but then we find out there's another legendary in this fight, one that I became familiar with because Vanillux ruins it. Palkia. By this time though, I had had enough of using Trick Room for Vanillux to kill it. Instead, I had Slowbro weaken it somewhat, then Alakazam had the power to remove it. This makes the following Starmie also free to Energy Ball, and we only have Blastoise left. And Houndoom puts its face in front of Blastoise's cannons and says, "I dare ya." Finally, fucking water teams. That one was just awful. And there's still one more. The Tumult. This one takes place on Psychic Terrain, again. And it has Tapu Fini, again. Houndoom tries to Destiny Bond it. He lived. I switch into Rotom only for him to get Moonblasted twice and die. Houndoom dies the second time, and man, that's a bad start. Oh look, it's Palkia again, who Alakazam cannot kill and dies to Surf. Now I have no choice but to hope Slowbro lives to Trick Room. She does it, and then also beats Palkia, who had been draining its life away with a Life Orb. Yet again though, Amaria also has a Slowbro. I just Trick Roomed, so I'm totally hosed, especially when I discover this is Mega Slowbro. Zebstrika can't take a hit. Vanillux goes out, but here comes Focus Blast. Oh, it missed! Freeze Dry nearly beats it, but even with Hail, it'll take another turn. I know what to do. I go back to Slowbro, who can survive Focus Blast, and then Hail beats Amaria's Mega. Next is Starmie again. Hey, what the hell? What's with all this repetition? But in Trick Room, I take it as an easy knockout, with Vanillux killing with Freeze Dry. Oh yeah, guess what else repeated itself? Primal Kyogre. Slowbro has to go out to take a third of its HP with Psychic, but it kills her and didn't lose special defense. Vanillux is all by himself now in a fading Trick Room. Can he surmount 66% of a Primal Kyogre? Yes! But his reward is to run out of Trick Room and be faced with the last Pokemon, Milotic. HP as wide as the ocean. Wait, it used Hypnosis. It missed! Freeze Dry! Not enough, but maybe? The Clutch fucking Master! Focus Blast missed! 2 Hypnosis misses! This is why he's on this team, in this series. Because he is unstoppable! Take that first try, Vanillux. It's all yours. Amaria's teams are finished thanks to that brilliant victory. And we move on to one more opponent today, Victoria. We already saw one of her theme teams ahead of time last episode, though it isn't the first one, called Fallacy of Justice. Back to Fairy Tail. I thought starting a fight against a fighting trainer using Talonflame would be a good idea. Then Victoria led with Terrakion. Sucks to be me. What's silly is that after Tailwind, Talonflame dodges Rock Slide, so he gets to attack anyway for a brave third. Second Stone Edge connects. Terrakion is washed away by Greninja's Surf. And then we learn why this team is named like it is. Sword of Justice Virizion is coming out next. Currently, I have an entirely fast team, and one of them being Mega Alakazam, who one-shots Virizion with Psychic. And thus the last Sword of Justice, Cobalion, will show up next. Since we're on stupid Fairy Tail, Fire won't be super effective on it, so I just leave Alakazam to try to bring it down on neutral damage. He almost did. He dies to Sacred Sword, but Life Orb burns out the Cobalion too. Of course, you can't have a Sword of Justice team without Keldeo. Galvantula showed up just then, but this damn horse is faster and kills Galvantula with Scald. You're getting bonded, since nothing else is going to outspeed. Then comes something Victoria loves to bring along to most of her battles. Gallade. Even though it's not Mega, it goes before Sigilif and one-shots her with Night Slash. Greninja is left, and like a bad player, I had multiple Z crystals equipped, but that lets me get Gallade right now with Hydro Vortex. Victoria and I each only have one full HP Pokemon left, hers being Lucario. Somehow, she also doesn't Mega Evolve this one, but she doesn't need to. It survives Surf, and close combat comes back at Greninja and beats him down. Man, close. That Lucario, though, was a pain. It has Bullet Punch, which is buffed on Fairy Tail, and it could deck my Pokemon with base stats. On the third try, I decided to change speed strats, opting to lower their speed then increase my own. Sticky Web from Galvantula was the only thing I wanted, and then Terrakion proceeded to miss 3 Stone Edges and faint. Yeah, I'll take that 0.8% chance. Against a Gallade now, I have full HP Talonflame ready to end it with Acrobatics. It faints to it, and to Cobalion, I decide to use Galvantula for almost half damage, and Cobalion figures out how to use Stone Edge. Greninja swamps it with Surf after, Virizion is mangled by its double weakness to Acrobatics, Keldeo gets ransacked by Brave Bird but barely lives to skull down Talonflame, then does faint to its own Life Orb. Finally, we get back to Lucario, and this time, Greninja hasn't used his Z move yet. Hydro Vortex is more than enough for it. Now it turns out the next team Victoria is using is the one we got a preview of last time. Here's the thing. It's called Black and White. So yeah, this team won against me last time, and that was without Chessboard. There's Lucario up front, and I saw that magic coat, you bastard. No Sticky Web for Galvantula, instead he's faster and is able to do half with Thunderbolt, activates his Pawn Focus Sash, then takes out Lucario. Unfortunately out next is King Crabominable, and Galvantula was doomed here. I get upset when Talonflame's own built-in priority overcomes the Crab's kingly status, but leaves it alive after Acrobatics. Then it's Ice Hammer missed. I am enjoying these misses. Next up, while Victoria definitely has a Mega this time, Lopunny. Sadly, Fake Out from Night Mega Lopunny has 2 more priority than Gale Wings, but then, no Quick Attack means Talonflame has more speed, and my Night one-shots hers. But then we find that awful mythical that wrecked me last time, Bishop Marshadow. More priority finishes off Talonflame in Sucker Punch. Greninja is outsped by it and killed by close combat. Then some shenanigans occur. Houndoom uses Destiny Bond as it used Sucker Punch, so its punch failed. Then it tried again, and still failed, but now my Destiny Bond is off. Then Houndoom goes first next turn and turns it back on to accept Soul-Stealing 7-Star Strike. My team is tired, and my King Alakazam goes out to face down Medicham, Victoria's queen. But even though she had Shadow Ball to hit weakness and priority, Alakazam is killed by a Fake Out. Holy fuck, that's awful. Sigilif is my last, and she is not faster. So let's put Protect on Talonflame for the next try so stupid Fake Outs can't ruin everything. Lucario is beaten the same way, and Crabominable and Alakazam have a King's Duel. Alakazam wins with Psychic. Medicham then wants in, and Talonflame is ready. Protect and Fake Out is wasted. So is Medicham, who is hit with triple damage from my Knight. Lopunny, Protect Fake Out, Acrobatics dead. Victoria's last unknown, unless you remember from last time, Pirouette Meloetta. Unneeded Protect, then Acrobatics. I should have pushed full power with Brave Bird, as Meloetta barely lives and kills Talonflame in return. Greninja takes care of it with a Water Shuriken though, and the last one is Marshadow. I'm still uneasy about that thing, but my Royal Alakazam basically shuts down its priority moves. I use one Protect for safety, then out-prio it with Psychic to take it out. Cool, I'll gladly live in a universe where chessboard fights only take 2 attempts. One last theme team today, and it's time for a change of pace. Fuck, go back! Seeing a Mian Xiao on Big Top gives me shell shock. Galvantula's best effort was living through Fake Out and outspeeding for Sticky Web. Now, time to give Mian Xiao shell shock again by using Acrobatics with Talonflame. Oh fuck, it's learned. Focus Sash and Retaliate with the same move. A priority Plink with Water Shuriken gets rid of Mian Xiao, only for the Destroyer of Priority to appear. Zarina. Sigilif goes out and Sticky Web lets her go first, but Air Slash doesn't do it. And yet again, Acrobatics comes at me. Alakazam takes down Zarina, only for another perfect counter to show up. Her good old ace, Incineroar. But like many times before, Greninja is here to duel it, and he wins with Hydro Vortex. Now Victoria once again uses her sensei's Pokemon, Medicham, and to my Mega, it likewise Megas. I knew Fake Out was coming, and Protect blocks it. Alakazam outspeeds for Shadow Ball and one-shots it. But yet again, the worst thing to appear here is Marshadow. Alakazam cannot stand up to one Shadow Sneak. I have to sack Houndoom to double KO it, leaving Victoria with one more. That Pokemon was Gallade, and even though Greninja tried to outsmart it with Extra Sensory, Power Up Punch hurt him badly anyway, and then Shadow Sneak ends him. It keeps coming down to one last matchup, and I keep losing. Priority bullshit ruined a second attempt, as we do the third attempt differently. We have to keep Talonflame healthy again. So Greninja goes out to Water Shuriken Mian Xiao, gets a superb 5-hit, and then survives a high jump kick thanks to a weak Striker result. Greninja fully beats the Mian Xiao with Water Shuriken, a rare feat. But we have one more obstacle to Talonflame's Gale Wings. Zarina. Houndoom though has it with Heat Wave, and Mega Medicham has its Fake Out wasted and dies to Acrobatics. Incineroar is vortexed again, then Alakazam goes out to Marshadow to waste its Helping Hand from its seed item, though Talonflame just came out and went first to kill it in another Acrobatics. This time, Gallade is powerless to avoid the high-flying Talonflame ripping it up. Fairy Tail, Chessboard, Big Top. All Victoria needed was Glitch Field, and she would have been the worst. We've overcome another round of theme teams, and now it's time to look at the standings and the 3 ties. 2 of the 3 characters from today are up here now, with Amaria sharing the top of the chart with Hardy, using her Inward Contemplations team, while Adrian's atop Olympus now shares 5th spot with Eve. Sarah and Null share the center of the board at 6 attempts. Before we get out of here, another run through the nightclub pavilion brings us face to face with a former enemy who has now become our ally, Aster. All he wants is a great battle for old time's sake and for her. Unfortunately for Aster, my lead of Greninja proves insurmountable. His Crocodile out front is outsped and taken out by Surf, the same thing happens to Rhyperior, and finally, midday, Shirley eclipses, can only Accelerock for a third, and faints to the third Surf. Good stuff, Aster. Now, the exhibition fights are over. Time for the real thing. Head over to the anomaly map and get the aforementioned 6 quests from the attendants. Mew is first, saying there are multiple Pikachu swimming underwater in Ametrine Mountain. One person already went, What's-Her-Face with the glasses. As for where exactly in Ametrine, Mew says floor B1F. Thanks for the specific floor that you'd never refer to a mountain with. After just beating him in the pavilion, Aster is now on his shift, and he says that we're getting a new energy reading from somewhere we already were. Aegir Cave. The place we befriended the Victini apparently shows a reading deep below it. As Aster suggests, we may have to go underwater for it. This time around, Anastasia decides to do the desk work rather than try monopolizing anomalies herself. She says that the place she got intel on is pretty remote. Mirage Tower. She says that, like the previous 2 attendants, that it's somewhere underwater. Even in the desert, we have to dive. Seacrest comes back for a third time to tell us that we should look at the east side of Victory Road as well as the west. Apparently, 4 more portals have all sprung up in the deepest part of Victory Road, in a place he surmises we should guess pretty quickly. What's strange about the worlds within, though, is that they were reported as completely empty. Take a step down to 0 now, and he's got something big. He said Chalcedon is reporting electrical disturbances, which points us to the LCCC underneath. He has a feeling it'll be on the Labradora side. What we find down there will be far from what you'd ever expect. Last, but definitely not least, is Maxwell, who tells us that like Victory Road, Ametrine Mountain also got a double whammy. He says that the entire mountain is being melted down from the inside. He says we may need to go through Celestinine and go to a very deep part of the mountain. Let me warn you, the place you're thinking of, that's not it. The place he means annoyed me. You'll see later. So where do we begin? How about the first quest we took, going to that mountain we just discussed, and handling New's quest? It's time to start spelunking all of Ametrine Mountain again. And also, I found a ridiculous number of shinies in this episode, starting with Bergmite. So you know what I said about the deepest part of Ametrine you're thinking of not being right? Well, here we go down the giant waterfall after that blind ice sliding puzzle, and nothing. So now I'm checking the waterfalls by the main river between Ametrine and Celestinine. Shiny Beartic. Do this strength puzzle again by pushing the boulder to the left from below the waterfall, then climb it to pass by from above. Proceed until you get to this junction on the ice, then go left and dive to find this cave from before. On the southwest of this underwater cavern is another cave that was also here before. What wasn't in this cave before was this new world door. Travel through the mimicked submerged cavern until you find this place to surface. Time to spotlight another track. And to be transparent, this one played already. During last episode actually, when we met Elena in the past. It was even at full speed then, but you're going to hear this lower tempo version a lot more while you're here in unexplored territory. This track is Glitchix City's remix of Search for the Girl from Pokemon Heroes. I love the cinematic appeal of this track, especially these drums right here. Oh, I love that. You'll be in the middle of a huge body of water, and the plot is to the north. But first, go south, and find your way through some rocky outcroppings in the water to make your way to this tiny island with a Z-cell. Swim back north until you make landfall here. Ascend some steps, but save first. You're about to meet the twin stars of this quest, Latios and Latius. The girl that New said came here already is Florinia. She compliments my timeliness, saying that both she and the 2 dragon legendaries have been engaged in the chase for a long time now, and they are all fatigued. She asks for our assistance to subdue the 2 anomalies before us. And the first quest battle of the episode is a 12v12 battle. And it surely isn't the last. The 2 Eon Pokemon lead with Cobalion and Aerodactyl. I try to just Destiny Bond, but Houndoom fails to go before either opponent. Fortunately, they started with Tailwind and Reflect. Florinia's Hippowdon hits a mountain-boosted Rock Slide, but it's very low damage. Next turn, Aerodactyl does attack and Houndoom takes him with Destiny Bond, while Cobalion puts up Stealth Rocks. Gotta go slow, so Slowbro is out, but I'm thoroughly out-typed by Decidueye. As Cobalion retreats for Zapdos, the owl instantly knocks Slowbro down the mountain with Ominous Wind. Hippowdon decides to put Stealth Rocks back on their side too, as I bring in Vanillux, who is melted right away by Zapdos' Heat Wave. A sinister arrow raid from the Gen 7 grass starter almost kills the Hippo, who hangs on to then do mediocre damage with Rock Slide again and then faints to my hail. Well, who's ready to start over? With no Trick Room, I'm totally helpless. Drampa gets pummeled by 2 attacks as Cradley manages to take down Zapdos with another Rock Slide, but missing Decidueye. Mawile enters, but so does Excadrill. That's not good. I Sucker Punch the Owl while Mawile still can. But then, Excadrill uses Rock Slide, and none of those rocks hit us. Cradley Rock Slides back for basically nothing, and Hail has changed the mountain to snowy, right in time for Tyranitar to show up and change the weather to sandstorm. At this point, if I want to kill anything, I need the Swords Dance. I do so while Cradley is knocked out by a Smart Strike and Mawile lives through Rock Slide and doesn't flinch. I try then to save Florinia's next Virizion by Sucker Punching Excadrill, but it lived, and then Aerial Ace the Grass Justice Pokemon. Mawile keeps getting chipped away, Ferrothorn comes out, and Sucker Punch takes out Excadrill. Tyranitar's Rock Slide barely registers on our HP, and Ferrothorn Nature Powers to Avalanche on it, almost killing it. Cobalion has returned. Mawile Sucker Punches the pseudo-legendary down, as the actual legendary puts up another Reflect. Fuck you, I don't have Brick Break right now. But Mawile's and Ferrothorn's times are at an end. Typhlosion just showed up, and then was instantly KO'd by Stealth Rock damage and Sucker Punch. Whew. But even so, Mawile now finally tires from all the attacks, fainting to Cobalion's close combat. To Camerupt, the first of the leading legendaries shows up, Latios from the left. Oh, by the way, it's Mega Latios. Yeah, enjoy that 700 base stat total. Both of their Pokemon outspeed ours, and Latios uses a super beefed up Icy Wind to one-shot Camerupt and remove the rest of Ferrothorn. Thus, I run out of Pokemon, and Florinia's Torterra and Kartana are both completely useless in the face of a Mega Latios and its absurd special attack. That seemed pretty bad. However, that was only because Slowbro never got to Trick Room. We just need to make sure she can. Unfortunately, my save point was a couple minutes before the fight started, so I had to redo the Z-Cell and walk up the mountain, only to find this shiny Jumpluff. Okay, diversion over. Attempt to put Slowbro up front from the beginning with Brick Break for Reflect. Knowing they both use setup moves, I am free to do so as well with Trick Room. Next turn, I shatter the Reflect with Brick Break, Stealth Rocks are spread across both sides of the field, and we take some damage from Rock Slide. I ask Hippowdon to forgive me as I hit everything with Surf, killing Aerodactyl, and Cobalion flinched from the Hippo's Rock Slide. Tyranitar shows up now, and I think, hey, I have a fighting move. It may be physical on a Slowbro, but who cares? Brick Break does a great amount to Tyranitar, enough to let me kill next turn, as Hippowdon knocked out Cobalion with Stomping Tantrum. Rock Slide from Tyranitar isn't enough to stop either of us. I see Talonflame come in, worrying about Gale Wings, but I profusely thank Hippowdon for putting up Stealth Rocks. For that, Slowbro Brick Breaks Tyranitar out, and then Talonflame only use Heat Wave to barely hurt Slowbro and miss Hippowdon. Is this the same fight? Why are they barely doing anything to me? Decidueye is here again, and I fully expect a Ghost move to come at Slowbro, probably with priority. So I bounce her for regeneration and put Drampa there. It was priority, Sucker Punch, and that also fails against a switch-in. Hippowdon then nails both enemies with Rock Slide, Talonflame faints, and Decidueye nearly does. It's time then for the right side leader to appear, Latios. Are you surprised? It also Mega Evolves, but this next turn is something else. Drampa attacks it with Dragon Pulse but doesn't kill, then Hippowdon hits them both with another Rock Slide, but only Decidueye dies. So when Latios stirs up an Icy Wind, I expect Drampa is done. He's not. He lived, and better than that, so did Hippowdon, and Latios had too little HP left for Sandstorm. The fact that neither Florinia or I have lost one Pokemon yet is unbelievable. Now Latios sends out something that would be good in Trick Room, Rhyperior, and Excadrill comes out in a Sandstorm Trick Room. Poor bastard. I have to say goodbye to my friend Hippowdon as I use this all-important surf with Drampa first. 5 things go down. Excadrill, Rhyperior, Hippowdon, Trick Room, and Sandstorm. Drampa is hanging on by the skin of his teeth too. So thankful that Sandstorm stopped right then. But he won't be able to help anymore against Typhlosion and Zapdos, while Virizion takes up Hippowdon's position. And that Virizion goes before everything to use Nature Power Rock Slide to kill both enemies again. Now, the last of the Swords of Justice appears, not all of them on the same side, Terrakion. Next to it is the other Mega Legendary Latios. Drampa watches Virizion get yet one more kill with Sacred Sword on its fellow Justice Pokemon, but the Latios then unleashes more Icy Wind to take him down and harm Virizion, lowering its speed. That was my first casualty, and Latios is the only opponent left. Slowbro returns as I do a regenerator switch to Houndoom, who I expect may die. But he doesn't die to Twister, which went before Virizion and beat it. Slowbro was going for Trick Room, but apparently Houndoom is just going to take yet another one for the team. Latios' second Twister brings about its own demise, and the fight is over. That was a wild swing of intensity. The first attempt fell apart like a sandcastle in a hurricane, then they forgot how to hit me with moves that did more than 5% damage. That was awesome. And now, it's time to try catching, what's wrong with Latios? Both Florinia and Latios are suddenly encased in dark auras. Did they become Umbral? Florinia's voice comes through distorted, indeed like Umbral auras have done, saying she doesn't want to feel. But then her voice completely warps into indecipherable nonsense. Then Florinia and Latios both erratically disappear as Latios begins yelling in similarly garbled language, seemingly at me, until it suddenly becomes understandable. The Latios has linked our minds to speak telepathically to me and says we must find the others quickly. It says that the repressed emotions from Florinia corrupted the anomaly energy around Latios, which then reverberated that corruption back into Florinia. The legendary says we can save them both if we act quickly, then flying north, swim across another lake, and come upon an entire town. If you're astute enough to explore immediately, you may think there's nothing to find, unless you hold still. On the right side of town, accessible by swimming carefully around the shoals, you can find this floating orb that slowly becomes visible if you don't move. Clicking on it shows you a puzzling message. O becomes 5. Similarly, venturing up one of the canals of the city is a door, and you'll find that the insides of this town are still in development. Within this unfinished room, though, is another orb. U becomes equals. You'll learn the meaning of these strange hints when you land on the docks and find Latios again. The dragon tells you that fragments of Florinia are scattered about this place. Latios goes on to say that these are fragments of Florinia's self that she must come to accept. These fragments are her emotions that we must help her understand if we are to save her and Latios. Latios says, unlike itself using its power to translate, we have to translate to Florinia through the language of emotion. The legendary says that all around this place are hints to figure out how to translate from our language to the language of emotion, and the key is to stop, wait, and pay attention. As we saw already, doing exactly that literally makes these orbs appear, and their hints should be clearer now. This is a cipher puzzle. This orb reads B becomes right curly brace, or whatever you would call that. You can speak to Latios again to hear the same instructions, but it can also tell you a list of the possible emotions a human may feel. While this seems very odd to just list a bunch of emotions like we don't know them, this is actually our answer list. We will be enciphering these words into the emotional language using the orb clues. How do the words matter? We'll get to that in a minute. As for the rest of the orbs, I'm not going to bother with what they say, just where they are. When you find them, you should write them down in a document side by side, because you will need it written down. Both of the doors next to Latius have an orb, which brings us to 5. To the left past a gate is another door with number 6. There's another orb on the left side dock just south. Then north of that, up some stairs, we find Florinia. Except, she seems not to notice us. She instead speaks like a doctor or nurse describing a patient's affliction. Florinia's description of a person furrowing their brow, tensing their muscles, and clenching their fists should remind you of anger. Then you're given a text prompt to enter the answer. However, without having found all the orbs available, you won't have the proper characters to translate the word anger. Let's continue searching for more orbs by going to the right of Latius. Up to the north, you'll pass through this building and out south to find Orb 8. If you go into the large school-like building, you'll find it has multiple floors, and on the second one is another Florinia. Don't bother her, and go up to the top floor to find Orb 9. Notice as well that you can surf in particular spots to reach some more orbs. Here's clue 10. You can jump into this canal too, going south to the bottom wall. There's a Florinia to the left, and another door to the right, inside of which is hint 11. Go up and right through this waterway to find Orb 12. Now get back in the larger body of water and swim past these rocks to ascend a waterfall. At the north of this river is clue 13. At this point, we've accrued enough of the cipher to return to this Florinia in the southeast and listen to her list of symptoms. A sinking feeling in the chest cavity, looking downwards, lowered energy, moisture from the eyes. From what Latius said are the words we should translate, the one that matches here is sorrow. So now, you must take your list of translated letters and spell the word sorrow with the corresponding letters from the clues. On screen now is the entire cipher I wrote down. With this, we can find the letter S as being F. Translate all 6 letters of sorrow like that to come up with the string F5 at 5 pound. To this, Florinia accepts our diagnosis, which Florinia defines sorrow as a feeling of distress caused by loss, disappointment, or misfortune. She goes further into the subject's history of loss and disappointment, especially in her social life. With this, she vanishes. Now that you know how to solve these puzzles, it's only a matter of recording all the hints. We actually have a few to go, back on the west side of town. Jump into the water near the 2 docks again, then swim up here to find a leftways doorway which contains clue 14. Going up the waterfall takes you to a junction of 2 other waterfalls. Down one in this garden is clue 15, and up the other is 16. Also, go back to the docks and swim south from the right side one to find another tiny island with a Z-cell. We've now found everything in the town that we possibly can without helping the other Florinias. We have all of the clues we can find, which means we are surely able to translate the other 2 emotions now. This Florinia speaks of anger, which in emotion is GMKR-AT. She speaks that repression of anger has many adverse side effects, saying the subject may have residual anger towards a given mistreatment or abandonment. She disappears now, and that leaves one more fragment. Return to the school to hear the next case, where the subject covers her face and is often looking down. A weight in her stomach, fixation on the past, and profuse apologizing. The answer to this, looking at Latius's list of emotions, is guilt, spelled K equals XJ7. She states how guilt seems to match and how the subject seems to harbor guilt for a traumatic incident, believing herself to be responsible, however unjustified it may be. The 3rd Florinia vanishes, and with that, the gate on the other side of town is open now. Go to that gate to find Latius here now, saying this plan is working, but lamenting that all Florinia feels is negative emotions. Head to the right and south to see another of the grass leader, then in this door to head up the stairs for clue 17. Up past Latius and through this building is clue 18, and to the left and down is 19. Surf in the water near another big building to find hint 20 in the grass, and hint 21 in the basement of this house. Don't ascend to the top of the large building yet. Just pick up orb 22 on the first floor. Let's first speak to the earlier Florinia, who has a new, very different kind of description. The subject reports feeling lighter, and her lips are turned upwards, while emitting a cacophonous sound that disrupts her breathing. The answer to this is joy. Percent 5H. How could this be? Florinia wonders. As she speaks, the wall between subject and observer are beginning to crumble. At the very top of the large building now is another Florinia, who reports single-minded purpose, full dedication to a task, which is unfortunately of something that she has no control over. Otherwise, this dedication may be fortuitous. Passion. YGFF X5M. Florinia states how such a thing could be very beneficial, and yet, for the subject, is a dire risk. To the north of the Joy Florinia, a gate is gone, and Latios says we're close, but is so confused why unlocking positive emotions did not make Florinia at all happy. Head directly into a building ahead of you, which of all of them is actually finished. A dimly lit, overgrown garden contains another Florinia, who says another complication has been found, but now asks us not to proceed further with diagnosis. She says that because of the revelation of the presence of joy and passion, others could now use those against the subject as leverage. She says we must not continue in our identification of emotions, especially not this one, which is in fact the one responsible for these feelings of apprehension. One of the strongest emotions indeed, fear. RG at. Florinia asks why we did not listen to her, giving what she says is an irrefutable diagnosis. She says positive emotions are more dangerous than negative ones because they create embarrassment because of fear. But she goes on to say that fear itself is what is causing the disconnect of all other emotions in the first place. However, there is something still deeper. Now a gate to the right has opened. Latius waits here, telling us that we have almost broken through. The building to the left has clue 23, and hint 24 is down all these stairs. Despite there being 26 letters in the alphabet, we have found every clue. Head now to the Northern Cape, where one final fragment of Florinia waits. She says that the presence of fear means there's one more deeper emotion, one which fear was used to separate it from herself. That deepest emotion, spelled J5TR, is love. And the wall falls, as Florinia says the truth, as herself. She wanted to be loved. And the tale turns to what was said and done in the past. She didn't want love the way Amaria wanted it from Titania. She wanted their friendship, the four of them from the Onyx School, to go on. She then says that it was their feelings that got in the way. Depression, resentment, psychopathy, and weakness. She reveals that the terrible clash she and Titania had was over Florinia's attempt to confide in Titania about her feelings, and Florinia had believed the explosion of anger from Titania was her own fault. Instead, she comes to realize it was only an outlet for Titania's resentment of being burdened by Amaria. However, Florinia had believed she was at fault rather than think the situation was hopeless. She has finally come to grips with how foolish this was, and though she's regretful we had to be so embroiled in her emotions, she's very grateful we helped her acknowledge her feelings at last. She then goes off, saying she would rather us not repeat what happened here. She'll take responsibility for that herself. Wait, wasn't there going to be an Umbra battle? Well, here's both Latios and Latios to explain how this was all a game. There was never any sort of corruption. The two were truly trapped in anomalies, unable to wake up from a never-ending dream until we came along. Upon gaining their freedom, they felt the disturbance in Florinia, so they played a trick on us to get us to help them free her. The emotion and illusion Pokemon are happy we broke through to her, and now will travel with us. The two dragons join you. As Latios says, this is the last we'll be able to understand it, but it's always behind us. The first quest of the episode comes to an end with no catching sequence, so I'm just showing their shinies this time. Their base forms are just a change in color from normal, but their megas take them from the mixture of their two colors back to their own respective hues. With this, you can leave, after you hear from Lynn again. She thinks that this was all so wonderful, and says it never would have happened without her. So she wants some gratitude, giving you a choice of how you want to express it. When you say thank you to the girl sticking her hand out for reverence, she then says if we ask nicely, she'll let us fast travel. Fine, sure. Only fools refuse help. Despite not asking so nicely, she still warps us, saying first to remember who's really on our side. If you pick an option that has Lynn warp you, then you'll land just outside of the entrance into Celestinine Mountain that you get to through Route 1 on a Tauros. And if you were a better planner than me, you'd go straight into this cave and begin Maxwell's quest in Ametrine Mountain. I'm not a good planner. But in case you wondered, let's go back to that first choice of how to say thank you and press cancel. Lynn says that was kind of funny, so she'll let it slide, as well as us. Then she dumps us in the middle of Ametrine Mountain. Whichever reality you so choose, find your way back to the nightclub where you can talk to Florinia again. Her mind is besieged with analytical questions about the nature of emotions from a biological perspective, only to finally determine that there are no answers to these questions, and rather than attempt to solve them, she finds the peace to simply accept them. With some closure obtained, we can move on to the next quest on the list. That one will be the one from Seacrest, which will take us back to the end of Victory Road. But I took a break and did something, then got this shiny Venomoth. What was I doing? Nothing important. I head now for Charis Hall and head backwards into Victory Road. We're heading for the 4 cardinal color caves where we obtain the stars that unlock the final door, which is the most likely place that 4 individual doors appeared. On the way though, we find one of my favorite shinies for a personal reason, Rainbow Rapidash. I love this one most because one of the only full odd shinies I ever obtained in vanilla games was Blue Fire Ponyta. In base games, that evolves into Blue Fire Rapidash, which is cool, but this upgrade to Rainbow is perfect. Walk back past the final door and into the Diamond Warp to return to the Dark Cavern that has 4 more warps to the edges of the 4 crystal caverns. As well, 3 more light shards have appeared as a foreboding sign. I step into the first warp to the Emerald Cave and eventually walk to the right to spot one of the New World doors. As soon as you enter though, you'll see Seacrest meant it. This place is desolate. Except, you get one of those text boxes that you normally see when you have to do some field effect manipulation. Pollen surges through the air, it says. That kind of sounds like a Pokemon's ability. In front of you in this otherwise blank room of Mirror Arena is a pillar. Examining it will antagonize a level 1 unknown out here. Knowing you must change the field effect to something, but being on Mirror Arena, which doesn't change to anything else, you might realize what the solution is. You have to use a Pokemon's move that directly creates a field effect, and with the hints about pollen, you'll look for a Pokemon that knows grassy terrain. At the same time, you'll remember that there are 3 other rooms like this. Deduction will lead you to the conclusion that you need all 4 of the vanilla terrain moves: Misty, Electric, Psychic, and Grassy. Now I should have told you this up front, so that you could bring those here first, but you'll probably use 1 cell battery to put Pokemon away, so I just used 2 to bring them here and put them away again. The puzzle of this dungeon now is to find if you actually have those Pokemon that have the terrain moves. I began to look up the moves and which Pokemon learn them by level up, which is the only way I'll have them without doing anything myself. I found one of them, Electric Terrain, on this Togedemaru, and I had a feeling I would have Grassy and Misty somewhere. The one that was bothering me was Psychic Terrain. I discovered that in Gen 7, only 2 of the Pokemon I could have right now learns it by level up, but only at level 1, Musharna and Behem, and neither of those Pokemon have it for me. I then began looking up every Pokemon that can possibly learn it that I have, and was becoming sure I'd have to leave and go to the move relearner. Until I found the saving grace, Girafarig. The Girafarig we hatched from an egg in episode 3, who I had said its stats were poor. You saved the day. After that, finding a Pokemon with Misty Terrain or just plain Mist. That led me to find it on Scarborough, the Sylveon. Lastly, I had a Comfey that was level 40, so some candy brings it to level 46 and it learns Grassy Terrain. With this, I have all 4 of the triggers. I start a battle in this room again, use Grassy Terrain, and once the battle ends, an entire island of life appears before us, lush and green, with the pillar now becoming a totem pole. Before I go up the stairs to see who lives here, I first leave and go to the other 3 doors first. In the Ruby Cavern where we fought Sirius, electricity surges through the air. Togedemaru energizes the world. In Sapphire, where we dealt with Blake, there is mist in the air. Sylveon thickens the mist. And in Amethyst Cavern, where we were chased by Gardevoir, energy runs through the air. Girafarig spikes that strange energy further. It is nearby in this Psychic Terrain room that we see the glowing aura nearby. The 4 fields correspond to 4 legendary Pokemon, which in their homeland corresponded to the islands they guarded. We will now engage all 4 of the guardian deities, the Tapus. Reassemble your team as you need to fight them, all 4 being fairy, and their second types being grass, water, electric, and psychic. Being that I'm here now, and that this is as good a legendary to start with as any, I step forward and awaken the first guardian, Tapu Lele. On the field effect that prevents priority moves, Lele sends out Clefable and Gardevoir first. I was hoping for something actually weak to Dark. What's even worse is that when Houndoom changed to Destiny Bond, he's not even fast enough. Gardevoir kills him first with Moonblast. Vanillix puts up a light screen since Ice isn't doing all that much here, and Moonblast number 2 hits him for a little. But now Vanillix is choiced onto that, so he needs to leave while Slowbro Trick Rooms. Camerupt comes in to resist Fairy, as Gardevoir goes for what would be a blank Psych Up, but gets 2 special attack stages anyway. Then Clefable makes itself a very good target for it, using Cosmic Power for double stages to both defenses. Oh no, the Pillow Fort is happening! Clefable takes nearly nothing from Slowbro's boosted Psychic, but Physical Tectonic Rage from Camerupt buries Gardevoir. But Clefable is making sure that it will not die, with another Cosmic Power. Now Starmie joins us, Trick Room being painful for it, but Earthquake from Camerupt is not enough to kill it before it used Psych Up on a now fully defensive Clefable, maxing out its own defenses and getting a sharp special attack increase. You think I lose? Yeah, pretty much. Throwing my entire team at them barely pushes their HP at all. It comes down to only Vanillux, who blizzards and barely forces them both down. Of course, we still have 3 more to go, and Tapu Lele now makes its appearance with an additional mythical, Victini. And now I lose. Well, this is really bad. I don't know how to deal with these stat-ups in a pinch except for one way. I put Frost Breath on Vanillux. The always critting ice move will cut through the defenses hopefully well enough. He also holds a Life Orb, then Slowbro goes up front with him for the second attempt. Trick Room and Light Screen on our side, Psych Up and Cosmic Power for them. Slowbro isn't doing anything to this group and leaves for Mawile, while Vanillux uses Frost Breath on the slower Clefable, who just got even more special defense. It does half the Clefable, but Gardevoir then cuts Vanillux short with Psyshock. If I want to get through this, then these two have to die now. Camera Up comes back, Z moves the Gardevoir down again, and Mawile hits Iron Head, but that damn Clefable still hung on and put up Stealth Rocks. It's joined by Musharna now, and the 3 Pokemon weak to Dark in this fight make me really want to use Sucker Punch, but I can't here. Next turn, I use Mawile's greater strength to hit Musharna, and Camera Up finishes off Clefable fortunately. Musharna flinched! Alright, that's a swing I needed. Starmie is here, and I really want to use Earthquake to hit all of them, but it'll hurt Mawile too badly. Instead, I use Rock Slide, and Musharna's flinch is undone when it lived through it. Starmie was clocked by Play Rough as Musharna blasts Camera Up with Psychic, but he also lived. That's so good too, because Victini showed up, perfect for Camera Up to trample over. But then I go and overthink it, using Rock Slide to beat Musharna so the higher attack power from Mawile would take out Victini. But though Rock Slide does kill Musharna, Victini survives and then scours my 2 Pokemon away with Searing Shot. Earth Power may have actually killed, but now I need to use Slowbro and Drampa, Lele itself appearing again. Slowbro surfs, only slightly hurting Drampa as Victini is finished off, but between that and Hyper Voice, Lele has a third of its HP left and Dazzling Gleams us to kill Drampa. My last is Houndoom, who is staring death in the face in this Trick Room. Meanwhile, my move pool with Slowbro is horrible, as she could use Surf and kill Houndoom herself. But then, after Psychic from Slowbro doesn't kill, it's Houndoom who goes first and kills with Dark Pulse. How? He had the Choice Scarf. I had to dig to find out, but it's because Tapu Lele had Telepathy, which on Psychic Terrain doubles its speed. Holy. But thanks to that, Trick Room benefited all of my Pokemon, and we have defeated 1 Tapu. We then tried to catch Lele Shiny, but I only get 2 chances at it before its immediate offense forced me to switch to Reborn Ball. I'll show every Shiny at the end once again. We've got 3 more deities to go throw down with. I take one of the 3 Light Shards and think about which one to tackle next. The one that seems simplest is back in the Emerald Cave. Walk up the stairs to meet Tapu Bulu. Grassy terrain is about the most enticing thing for Houndoom, as Bulu leads with Gengar and Ferrothorn. Then I get pissed when that Gengar Mega Evolves and I miss it with Heat Wave. Ferrothorn turned to Ash in the meantime, as Gengar aims a Focus Blast. And then also misses. Thank you. Vanillux hurts Gengar somewhat with Blizzard, but then Bulu plays a counter to my Pokemon. Salazzle. Come on, Bulu, that thing is anathema to you. I go for Heat Wave and Blizzard again anyway, but only Gengar dies before Salazzle interrupts Vanillux with her own Heat Wave. That's when the Tapu rumbles into the field, extinguishing the fires with its Grassy Surge. Except he's surrounded by 3 Pokemon that are all using fire attacks. Houndoom's Heat Wave goes first, and both Salazzle and Tapu Bulu die. The last 2 from Bulu are Zangoose and Roserade. Once again, Houndoom misses a Heat Wave on the Pokemon that wouldn't die only to it, Zangoose. Roserade is gone, but Zangoose sees my miss and raises me one better. It uses Rock Slide, and the rocks don't touch me. Camerupt unleashes his own Lava Plume to gravely hurt the Zangoose, who almost dies to all manner of extra damage sources. Houndoom uses Heat Wave once more, doesn't miss, and we get a first try on Tapu Bulu. With that, the outlook for catching it shiny is much better than Lele. Of course, on grassy terrain, it will be constantly healing, so we risk running out of glitter balls rather than time. But luckily, it only took 5 throws, and we caught it shiny. All around an easy encounter. That won't be true for the other 2 Tapus. The one I pursue next is Coco. I'm worried about that one because electric is a wily type to deal with, having ludicrous speed and thin weakness tables. But upon mounting the mountain where the next anomaly is, you should spot an out-of-place green object below. Head all the way down there to the north edge to obtain a Z-cell. Climb the hill again and face Tapu Koko, who leads with the most ferocious front yet, Zeraora and Xurkitree, and they both outspeed Houndoom to kill him and Vanilluxe in one hit. Camerupt won't die to their electric attacks like Mawile then does too, only hurting Zeraora with Sucker Punch, and Camerupt unleashes Tectonic Rage to kill Xurkitree and the electric terrain, which makes the Mirror sublayer come back. But joining Zeraora is a Pokemon who's totally undisturbed by electric. Swampert. Mega Swampert. On not electric terrain, Zeraora's Plasma Fists don't kill Slowbro, but electric terrain is back just like that. Then Swampert's Rock Slide kills off Slowbro before she uses the all-important Trick Room, though Camerupt lives to Earth Power Zeraora down. But with only Drampa left besides, seeing Alolan Raichu now, we really don't have a prayer. It's quite remarkable that Drampa does survive Raichu's Z-move, Stoked Spark Surfer, and works through Paralysis to one-shot Swampert, but Camerupt went down ahead of it to Superpower. A slow and weak old man Pokemon is now faced with a Pokemon with a gun. Genesect. Extreme speed. So yeah, this is ultra bad. Not only is everything I'm using slower than the openers, Slowbro will most certainly die to them. Even worse than the Flora fight with Elias. But there's almost nothing else I can hope to do. It has to be that Slowbro holds a Focus Sash for insurance, Camerupt joins her, and something good happens. We know that Tectonic Rage breaks the electric terrain, and if we kill Zeraora with it, then the field won't come back so easily. Depressingly, Slowbro is shocked by both attacks while Camerupt just stood there unfazed, killing Zeraora and the field effect. Vanilluxe comes out to Swampert, but Vanilluxe is just rocked by Discharge and beaten. Rock Slide hits Camerupt and crits him, but even if I had been using Earthquake that turn to make use of that anger point, he flinched. My side deteriorates quickly when Mawile can only Sucker Punch to not kill the Ultra Beast, Camerupt dying. Mawile lives to Sucker Punch again to beat Xurkitree, losing to Swampert's superpower while it died to Energy Ball. But then Houndoom and Drampa face Genesect and the Tapu itself, electric terrain surging back to life. But in a turn I didn't expect, my Pokemon survived Dazzling Gleam from Tapu Koko, Houndoom goes before Genesect to burn him away with Heat Wave, and Tapu Koko dies to Drampa's angry voice. But Alolan Raichu comes out now, and like its pre-evolution loves to do, it surfs. Drampa's not dead! He killed with Hyper Voice! No! The Life Orb. Fucking Life Orb. How could you rob me of such an awesome win? Oh, I don't want to do this again. As I'm racking my brain for what the hell to do next, I'm wondering if another Pokemon can stand up front with Camerupt to kill something. But the only choice is Drampa. If he's up there, then he'll just take both hits and die. But then I think again how that first turn played. Slowbro was targeted by both opponents, while Camerupt wasn't bothered. Then Camerupt killed the field effect and Zeraora. So like a good player, I put Protect on Slowbro. She can't survive the first turn, but let's see if she can survive the second. Indeed, everything the other side does completely fails, as Camerupt then crushes Zeraora, and now Xurkitree's Discharge is not as powerful. Swampert is here for Camerupt, no doubt, so this means Slowbro may live, even through an extra Rock Slide hit she does. As well, Camerupt also survived Rock Slide to kill Xurkitree, and Trick Room began. Now we should have this. But then I go a bit nuts and think, hey, I can smash the Mirror Arena and do a ton of damage to them. Slowbro protects, then Camera Up earthquakes, but that already kills both enemies before the Shattering Field just kills him. It maybe was the best play, as killing Swampert there was pretty out of the question otherwise, but now against Coco and Raichu I have no ground user. I do have Mawile though, and she's pretty good against both opponents. I use Sucker Punch to put away the Raichu first, and then a Dazzling Gleam only finishes off Slowbro, while Mawile is very healthy. Ignoring my dumb ass using Dragon Pulse on Tapu Koko, Ironhead goes on to win the fight. One Protect, and the fight became so much easier. Coco's anomaly vanishes, and he approaches again. This time, Coco is aggressive and hurts us a lot while I'm trying to carefully damage it. I'm beginning to think that we'll have to use a Reborn Ball again, but 8 Glitter Balls later, I catch it. Nice, 2 out of 3. Now let's see how the final one goes. Eating the last Light Shard, we make our way back to the Misty Realm, where down in a valley instead, the last Guardian waits, Tapu Fini. Unlike all 3 of its fellow Tapus, Fini fights in singles, starting with Ribombee. Oh, if only Houndoom were up front like usual. Instead, it's Slowbro, who manages to survive a Silver Wind anyway to Trick Room, hitting Surf and fainting. Camera Up covers the Ribombee in lava, and next is something Camera Up definitely can't stay for. Azumarill. I'm fully expecting Belly Drum Aqua Jet, and unfortunately, I'm right, and Vanillix's Freeze Dry didn't bring it down by half first. But does that matter? Does it matter to the Clutch Master, who survives Aqua Jet anyway? No, it doesn't! He dries out Azumarill. A Sylveon steps forward, but it's too bad Mawile is here to Ironhead it. But Fini has Mawile covered with its own Fairy Steel type, Magearna. Fuck, that thing is everywhere! I can deal with it though, with Physical Tectonic Rage from Camerupt. Now comes the central figure, Tapu Fini. What's a damn shame is that Mawile took half off Fini and survived its Hydro Pump, only for Trick Room to give out now. But she survives another Hydro Pump! Wow, my team is doing me proud right now! There's one Pokemon left, that Ocean of HP again, Milotic. The Prism Scale Pokemon though, might as well have 1 HP to Houndoom. Even when it doesn't kill him with 1 Brine, we have plenty left to switch him out and try again. The second Brine puts him under, and Milotic is dragged under with Houndoom. Sick first try. Ridiculous survival. The final Tapu now battles us without its Lin-given powers. Unfortunately, damaging this one is extremely troublesome, as it has an Aqua Ring and heals 1/8 every turn. This makes constantly weakening it far too dangerous. As well, I do finally run out of Glitter Balls, so it's time to bring the quest to an end. The 4 Tapus are captured, and we exit Victory Road for a moment. Here are the Tapus, with Coco and Bulu shiny. If you look at all 4 of them shiny, you'll see that they did a switcheroo with each other like the Lake Guardians, trading their shell colors with each other. Now, we just left Victory Road, but we're going back again right now. The quest from Aster directed us to return to Aegir Cave, as there is something underwater there now. Head back through Victory Road to the new cave where we chase Victini, and where we... never again. Head through the short New World section to go down to the waters of Aegir Cave. As soon as you dive down at the southern edge of the lake, you'll immediately find a new doorway lit up to the left. Go inside to surface in a small cave, then head south into the depths. Dark Crystal, or the Mount Coronet track from Iolia Valley, now plays again at a different speed than either other time we've heard it, full of trepidation. Before we head deeper into this violet-tinged cave, go left and climb this waterfall to find a Z-cell. Then go to the right and swing around these rocks to climb up another waterfall to a visible item. This one will not disappoint. It's the prison bottle. Ah, the Hoopa transformation item. Another for your arsenal. Now it's time to descend the waterfall deep into the earth. The deeper you go, the more you're going to see on the cliffs around you, until it becomes difficult to see anything at all. The ground of this lowest floor is very dark, making it hard to see the walls. Bump into them finding some item finder loot until you eventually climb these stairs on the right side to this ladder. Take the linear path under the waterfall to the next ladder, passing by all these pink crystals on your way to the next ladder. To the left, another ladder, and then walking north and past the waterfall brings you to the New World door. You may ask, what about the Z cell we saw coming down here? Don't worry, all in due time. Step again into the New World, and to the north is a rock with a glinting object. And when you pick up that object, you'll learn this is the second time we've picked up this item. It is one of Kane's earrings. But if you leave now, her voice stops you again. Lynn says she was just getting our present ready, calling us impatient, and saying we ought to show more gratitude. She says that the whole world now strokes my ego because I'm the champion, except that I wouldn't have gotten there without her. She then asks the question, who made it so we won in the first place? Who let the crits happen? Who put a way out of every location we went to? And then, most chillingly, she asks, who do you think put all those light shards around for you? All this time, the light shards. A seemingly innocuous gameplay element. Something there for the player's benefit alone, or really another way to plant doubt in you. All in this world conspires for you, and it could conspire against you. Lynn wants our appreciation for all this, including how she is finding our friends. This, and all the rest, is more than Anna has ever done for us. And that's when she gives us her next gift. Kane, who is so not happy to see us. Kane, cloaked in the umbral shroud, leaves the New World. Back in the Aegir depths, we see Kane here move into the crystals to the right, and then shatter them with his presence alone. He says, don't follow him. We absolutely must follow him, going down more ladders that are now accessible. Down a floor, Kane stands near more crystals, but speaking to him, he's more aggressive, telling us to back off. Everyone is ugly, he says, including me, and definitely including him. He says he never asked for any commitments, just to live. He crashes through the crystals again as if they weren't there. Don't go down the nearest ladder first. Instead, go west and find a second ladder to descend to find the Z cell we spotted on the way down here. Now climb down the earlier ladder and see Kane here now. He asks if we think it's easy to keep running from us. It's easier than staying, he then follows, because people then expect you to stay. He doesn't want to be expected for anything. Just let him be. South through another field of rock roses, Kane descends another floor. Down here, he then makes one of his usual innuendos, until calling it out himself, saying we should only expect such flirtations because he has played to it so much. All of it deflection from serious matters, and he repeats himself again. Leave him alone. He knows he can't run forever. To the west and down one more ladder, we've returned to the lowest point, which is where Kane is, physically and emotionally. He's angry and exhausted now, as he comes to realize he can't outrun himself. He knows we're here to drag him out of here, saying again, he thinks people are ugly. And that's what he tries not to do. Think. He says he ran, but learned running didn't work a long time ago. Then he brings up something concrete. His stepfather. That guy, Tez. Someone he couldn't understand why his mother married him. Someone who would snap at the smallest thing against him and Aya. Why him? Cain asked his mother. Because she needed him, she told Cain. For intimacy. And Cain hated it. Especially because he knew she was right. Because he began to see everyone as attractive until he thought about it. Then he saw everyone as a sack of meat, bones, and electricity. How could he find that attractive? It's all revolting. He wants none of it. Get it all out of his sight. And now we battle Umbral Cain. A battle taking place in the darkest field effect, Dark Crystal, matching the emotions that have seized Cain. Cain sends out Alolan Sandslash, which usually makes me wince, but Houndoom outspeeds. What makes me wince harder is the Focus Sash, and wince hardest, Aurora Veil. The second Flamethrower beats Sandslash, but Lucario is next. I know Flamethrower doesn't kill with the screen up, but when I try to use Trick Room, Slowbro is one-shot by a boosted Dark Pulse. The same move that then instantly kills Camerupt too. But when Houndoom comes back to the Pokemon Lucario came out for, it bails. In its place, Primarina. Still yet you haunt me. Heat Wave does so little to the now Pulse 2 Seal, and a switch into Mawile only results in her fainting to Dazzling Gleam. Destiny Bond is all I can do to remove this horrible creature, and then another horrible creature appears yet again. Magearna. I have absolutely nothing left for that. Drampa and Vanillux are easily defeated. We aren't going to stop the Aurora Veil from being used. We'll have to break it. Brick Break back on Slowbro, as well as Focus Blast, she goes up front. Trick Room starts to the Veil, then Brick Break shatters it, while Sandslash cuts Slowbro with Night Slash, but she survives. The following Focus Blast kills Sandslash helpfully, and next is Klefki. Yet another Steel Fairy. I decide to use Camerupt now in order to hit it with Earthquake and break the field effect. Klefki is harmed badly but survived, the Dark Crystal Cavern, now just a cavern. Camerupt is foul played, but he quakes again to kill Klefki and make the ceiling crack. Seeing Magearna out next, I decide that ceiling is coming down now. Camerupt crushes himself and Magearna with the cave. Not knowing what's next, Drampa is my best choice, and Lucario appears while I have Flamethrower. But yet again, defenses it wouldn't normally have keep Lucario alive, and it Aura Spheres back to kill Drampa. A Sucker Punch beats Lucario, but we're up against Primarina now. Destiny Bond for you again, but we have one more to fight. One I've staked many fights on, and now it's against me. Mawile, who megas like mine. I had hoped that with Slowbro out there, it would use Sucker Punch as I Trick Roomed. Instead, it attacks directly with Crunch and kills Slowbro. My own Mawile lives through a Brick Break from it, but Iron Head only does half, and Sucker Punch does not bring me the rest of the way. Vanillux is helpless against the huge power of Mega Mawile. Once again, Slowbro takes out Sandslash and its Aurora, but has less health now because of a crit. Klefki is here again, and I don't want to collapse the field as quickly this time. However, Dark Crystal helps Cain's team too much, so I use one Earthquake to shatter the crystals, then Earth Power to finish off Klefki. But to this, instead of Magearna next, it'll be Primarina. Damn it, with Trick Room we have to deal with this thing legitimately. That is something that Mawile could not do with one Iron Head, dying to Hydro Pump. Vanillux freeze dries it, and now Magearna will show up. Like earlier in the episode, Camerupt using Tectonic Rage can compact the Magearna, putting the ceiling one step from destruction. But the Trick Room has already ended before I could use that effect. Lucario is about to show up again, so I bring out Slowbro, then switch to Vanillux to regenerate. Dark Pulse is not obscenely strong against him, and he has a great option to help Slowbro. He puts up Light Screen, avoiding the flinch and surviving long enough. But then, This all goes wrong when Lucario leaves for Mawile. Even though I put up Trick Room for the second time, Slowbro misses Focus Blast and is knocked out. Camerupt shouldn't collapse the ceiling on Mawile, so he must hope to kill with Earth Power. He falls one notch short and dies to Brick Break, and worse, Hail stopped. And then the most aggravating thing happens after Drampa takes out Mawile with Flamethrower. Drampa hits the damaged Lucario with Flamethrower first, and he ends on literally 1 HP. There has never been a thinner pixel than that. That is a travesty! A damage range of 1% causes me to lose the fight. Could something have gone a little more my way that time? Let's begin attempt 4 and find out. Thankfully, Slowbro doesn't miss Focus Blast a third time, and Magearna is the one coming out first. Tech Rage still kills it, Primarina shows up, Mawile is used wrongly again and faints, Vanillix cleans up, here's Klefki. Instead of Camerupt though, I use Drampa, believing his higher offensive stat to Camerupt will kill Klefki. Sadly no, it's farther away, but Drampa lives and berserks to finish it. But the twisted dimensions return to normal, making Drampa's rage useless. With Mawile coming back out, I know I have to use Houndoom. Everything else will be slower and die in one hit. But instead of using Destiny Bond, I try to kill with Flamethrower and don't get there. Houndoom dies to Brick Break. Slowbro cannot Trick Room, and after Drampa also dies, I'm still one short of a kill with Hail. As long as the Hail falls at the end of this turn, then Vanillix dying will let Camerupt have one shot at Lucario. Camerupt isn't able to survive Aura Sphere. I reel my head back to slam it against this wall again. Sandslash, Magearna, then to Primarina I use Drampa instead. I want Mawile living longer, and he has Energy Ball. However, I go for Boosted and Stab Hyper Voice instead, but it leaves Primarina with a quarter, and Dazzling Gleam blinds Drampa. Vanillix cleans up again, Klefki comes out, and Camerupt will use Earthquake, which like before shouldn't... It killed? Oh, okay. Then this gives me the one single turn extra of Trick Room I need. Camerupt faces Lucario and simply collapses the ceiling, which I find out now isn't necessary to kill Lucario. It died already to Earthquake. But it doesn't matter. Trick Room has ended, and there's still a Hellhound in my back pocket. Mega Mawile has absolutely no choice but to slaughter Houndoom and end itself. Finally, the vicious fight in this darkness has been won. Umbral fights are almost always going to be devastating, and Kane's is no exception. He's got such a powerful team that can easily wobble between slow and fast, making Trick Room very inconsistent. The Steel Fairy combo gets to ruin everything in this fight, along with all the other Steel and Fairy that Kane uses. Last time I freed Kane from the Umbral Haze, it was with this team. 3 the same as today, and similar final HP totals too. I know back then, this fight wouldn't roll over for this team either. We can tell Kane may be back to his old self when he starts to make another one of his innuendos, until he is hurled backwards from us through the crystals, and this time, he felt that. He collapses to the ground unconscious, the same way he was when he was last in this world. Through this battle and this final shattering of crystals, another cave entrance has appeared. Kane will be napping for a bit, he probably needs it, so step into this cave where... I'm not going to thank you for the light shard, Lynn. You could just stop being a horrible person such that none of this happened anyway. Because we did get the light shard, you'd be under the correct impression that this isn't over yet. Indeed, there's another trial to overcome just ahead. Because when you think about pink crystals, there should be one Pokemon that comes to mind. Deontay. Which then draws a sword? What the fuck is that? As the trainer title says, that is the Crystal Aegislash. Because why not make Aegislash even worse? You've seen 6v1 hell fights before. Now it's time for a 6v2 hell fight. And boy, is it hellish. First, let's be clear. Mega Diancie, alright? It dies to being destiny bonded after it used Diamond Storm. But to be honest, I was hoping that monstrous crystal sword would kill Houndoom instead, because here's the thing. It has a base HP stat of 200 and 1500 EVs in HP, plus everything else is maximized. Yeah, this thing is a neutron star of HP and defense. And you want to know its types? Steel Fairy, just to say fuck you. Oh, sorry, it says that when it uses Aurora Veil. The fight then goes horribly when Slowbro Trick Rooms and we survive Dazzling Gleam and shatter the veil with Brick Break, only for Mawile to miss a Swords Dance to play rough. Not that it would have done anything. At this point I hadn't looked up the type and thought it was Rock Fairy until Iron Head was neutral. Another Dazzling Gleam kills both of us and Camerupt and Drampa show up next. Dragon Pulse does nothing while Tectonic Rage cuts its HP in half and breaks the Dark Crystals. Dazzling Gleam kills Drampa now, and all I have left is Vanillux, who is not going to help. Except that the one chip of hail damage he did may have been enough to let Camerupt kill with a second Earth Power after Aegislash killed Vanillux with Sun's Steel Strike. Okay, well that was fluky. If I had to try again, I would have tried to direct Aegislash into Houndoom for Destiny Bond and let Mawile kill Diancie, who, by the way, also had buffed HP in that fight. Now we attempt to catch said Diancie, and with one Pokemon left, yeah, Reborn Ball. Shiny Diancie turns its crystals into actual diamonds, and its Mega Evolution makes it Rainbow. Very nice. When the Diancie is caught, that's when something else appears. An item on the sword pedestal. Don't get excited, you don't get a Crystal Aegislash. Instead, it's the Grisius Orb. For the Giratina who hasn't shown up yet. Okay, when we go back outside, Kane has awakened. Finally free of all the hell he walked into. He's glad to see we are here, and then asks where we are. He then asks also if he happened to say a whole bunch of weird, edgy stuff. Look, Kane, I'm not going to lie. He's not happy about it, admitting that no matter what he's said or done, there's still things he can't get over. He tries to play it off with song again, until the Umbral voice breaks back in, and quickly he stops. He then turns his attention back to where we are, then quickly remembers the last thing he had been doing in this world. He was looking for the twins. Yeah, that's all over. He's glad to hear it, knowing he'll need a lot of time to catch up and process. He asks, though, if we'd like to leave this place. I'm glad you offered. You'll then be fast-traveled to the nightclub, and inside, of course, is Kane. He repeats his gratitude to us for saving him, and says he's going to catch up with everyone and get in on the anomaly action. I'm glad you're here, Kane. Now everyone from Glass Hell has returned. This also gets gratitude from Aya, who thanks us for saving her baby brother. Just don't tell him that. Never mind, we can, she says. Now, we move on to a quest I should have done before, when I was brought right to the entrance where it would be. We are going to delve to the core of Ametrine Mountain in order to stop it from being melted from the inside. And I spent way too much time looking in all the wrong places. In that time, I found another shiny Lumineon, Wailmer, Celio, and Cubchoo. Then I finally swallowed my pride and looked it up. It was the location where Lynn put us after the Latios and Latios quest. If you were like me and you left that cave entrance, then you'd have to go back to Route 1 to ride a Tauros to the third north entrance from the Nature Center. You have to head to the left side of this ice rink and dive here. Go north to find this cave entrance, surface, and in this tiny room you explored once is a new cave. Yeah, not the huge and very memorable waterfall descent that goes down to the lowest point of Ametrine. You don't even touch the rest of Ametrine mountain maps. Yes, I'm salty. Anyway, welcome to Ametrine Core. Walk north a few steps and find your partner in this quest, Cal. He jumps at our approach, but is glad we're backing him up. Ametrine is melting from the inside, threatening collapse, and Cal said it is the fault of an anomaly legendary. That legendary is Heatran. He runs forward, saying time is scarce. As you press on, you'll find several different obstacles around this room. Surfable water, non-surfable boiling water, lava, and impassable crystals. When you talk to Cal again, he says that he heated up this one very frozen rock enough to be broken. So you break it for him. Couldn't you use Rock Smash, Cal? He walks north a bit more, but we've come to a dead end. The Heatran moved into the cave up north more, but there's a pool of lava in the way. He says how his fire types don't help when this place is already so heated up. And then, a voice speaks that should absolutely get you heated even worse. It's Blake. Cal would rather not, telling his brother that we're busy. The spiky-haired brother first slings an insult at Cal, but then attests he's here to help. Cal is quick to call this into doubt, wondering what he stands to gain. But somehow, Blake finds a spot in his stupid body that actually feels remorse for what he did at Ametrine City and beyond. He says that even though he knows he doesn't deserve to live in it anymore, he still calls Ametrine City his home. So he requests we lay off the guilt at least until after the current rumbling mountain is not going to collapse anymore. He says he has the solution to the problem: ice types. All we have to do is stop butting heads for a little while. Cal, with some hesitance, agrees and tells me to run the operation. They'll go stand in the center of the room, and whoever we speak to will use their Pokemon to heat or cool the room. Blake says he'll turn the room cold first, since we have no options in the heat. Cal gives him a warning that he still doesn't trust Blake. Blake asks if he's on thin ice. You're not even the first person to make that joke this episode. Now the puzzle begins. Blake has made the room colder using fucker. Because of this, boiling water has become cool enough to surf, but normal water freezes into a rink. As well, the magical crystals that do whatever we need are here too, and the blue crystals that glow in the cold will create pathways on the lava. That's what you'll find north of here. Hitting this crystal, it will react to the same keys we got in Iolia Valley to make some steps in the lava pool that we can walk across with enough disbelief suspended. That is the only move that can be made with Blake right now, so talk to Cal and he'll draw a Magmortar to heat the room again. In the heated room, some rocks soften to become smashable, and red crystals light up to dissolve some large crystal formations that block us. The ice will melt to be swimmable again, but boiling water will not let us surf. Unless we use the Volcanion, Cal says. Until Blake corrects him that Volcanion can't surf. I'll be damned. Anyway, this red crystal has now become active, and the outcroppings next to you will vanish. The moment you've done that, switch back to Blake. This boiling water becomes safe, and to the north is that lava pool we modified. But it leads to the exit where another lava pool is in the way. Instead, go up these stairs to the left and hit another blue crystal to make more lava squares. Back through the water and across those squares leads you to this ice rink, but it goes nowhere. You could have done this step with Cal a minute ago, but make it hot again, then swim that pool to the right for another red crystal to clear some obstruction. This lets us cross this body of water from earlier to come over here and smash a stone. Only boiling water to the north, so we must have Blake freeze up the room. Now head down the stairs and cross the ice from the left, swim up this pool, and find a blue crystal to make a shortcut back to the center. South of you, cross this ice to the right, and then up. Then skate back down into this rock to access these stairs for a blue crystal. Go back to Cal now, and with the room heated, go cross this single step to the east. North of it is a red crystal to clear the way below. Back to Blake and going east again, go south to this shiny mag cargo. From the north end of the ice, surf this water to the now open stairs, activate this blue crystal, and now return to Cal. Oh, and Shiny Delibird. I told you there were a lot of shinies. Amid the heat, jump over those obsidian steps to find another red crystal to melt more obstacles. Fucker will cool the room down again to let you cross the water to reach this upper area now. A blue crystal will unlock another shortcut for you. Magmortar heats the room to cross that shortcut now and break this stone. Blake again, now walk to the end of that ledge to the blue crystal, giving a path to the doorway. Traverse the room by going left of the brothers to this lava, then cross the top lava moat to end the puzzle. Nope, sorry. That was only the first stage. Cal and Blake enter the room with us, and Blake asks what smells. He then says he could have made a "and I don't mean Cal" joke here, but would rather us not dump him into lava. Cal ignores the implication of said joke and says it's volcanic gas. Blake makes the joke anyway. Between glares at his brother, Cal explains what we've heard before too, that Ametrine used to be volcanic, and now Heatran might be waking it up. Not if they have anything to say about it. With Cal and Magmortar heating the room, first go to the left and melt those crystals with the red one. Change to Blake to hit a blue crystal and get a pathway on the lava above and below. Cross those pools of lava and the ice to push this strength boulder to the side. With the rock out of the way, Cal can melt that ice, above which we can terminate some more crystals with a red crystal. Use Blade to go back up there and use the blue crystal, then cross over and go up to another blue crystal. You might think to get Cal to heat the cavern again, but first, go to the left and jump down this ledge, then proceed in a half circle all the way to the right side of the room. That way you can swim over this water and make more footholds in this lava pool. Now you must turn up the heat again. Head north to these two bodies of lava and smash this rock to unlock the strength boulder. As well, just north of it is another red crystal to use. With Blake cooling the room, walk around the entire outside again to now push the strength stone to the left. Lastly, talk to Cal again and head north past that new opening to swim across this water and reach a ladder down. This is the end of the puzzle segment of this quest. Now it's time for combat. Head down the ladder where there's a ton of the volcanic gas spewing from the floor. Blake and Cal join us complaining about it, until the entire mountain begins quaking immensely. Blake throws a do-or-die effort with wall rain at the rising heat, yelling he didn't join our side just to die now. That's when a horde of mad cargo jump out of the lava to stop that cooling, and Cal and Medicham back up the older brother. Blake then tells his brother that he won't back down, in the same way he had to in their past. He asks if Cal will have his back on this, and Cal will. They tell us to find and beat Heatran, and don't flinch. Take their very specific encouragement up north to find the source of this impending doom, Heatran. Then you begin the battle, and are set on a field effect you've only seen in one mandatory fight, Corrosive Mist. Heatran deploys a sandstorming Tyranitar to start, which seems awfully bad to Houndoom on the surface. However, Houndoom can instantly kill this opponent and take no damage. Heatwave does little to Tyranitar directly, but it combusts the gas in the fight. That automatically kills everything on the field, unless they have, for instance, Flash Fire. Tyranitar is beaten in one attack and Houndoom stands, but now the field is Dragon's Den, which could be much worse. Now, Excadrill is coming out to a Houndoom on a field that boosts fire attacks, which means it is very sure it will go first thanks to Sandstorm. So instead, Slowbro will trick the room, surviving Earthquake, then hitting the mole in the face with Focus Blast. It hangs on though, and finishes Slowbro. I get rid of Excadrill with Earth Power, and now a dragon will emerge from this den. Zygarde. We have yet to see 100% Zygarde yet, 50% appearing to Vanillux. Unfortunately, the double weakness to ice is counteracted by Dragon's Den, to let Zygarde live and take down Vanillux with 1,000 arrows. Play Rough beats down Zygarde, only for the source to attack. Heatran. But when I go into camera up for what should be the easiest kill ever, Heatran comes out, and I'm treated to the most aggravating thing ever. Heatran is floating on a balloon. That is the most cartoonish thing that could possibly occur. As such, Camerupt is completely done for. Rock Slide would need to flinch, and it doesn't. Heatran gets me with Earth Power instead, and I don't have anything left that hurts Heatran badly. The only thing I can do, even though it's resisted, is to use Boosted Dragon Pulse with Drampa. But while that did not do very much at all, Heatran used the same move on him, but Drampa lived and just went off. A second Dragon Pulse uses the last turn of Trick Room to kill the Anomaly Pokemon. But this is when, to my Houndoom, another absolutely ridiculous enemy choice appears. Primarina! Why in the name of God is that here? How does that possibly make sense? It's just here to enrage me, and Houndoom can only Destiny Bond the stupid seal, leaving me one-on-one with the final Pokemon, Charizard. Why? No, X. Mawile was never going to get there in time, and one Sucker Punch is not lethal, while its Fire Punch was. Need to push back on this fight just a bit more, and to do that, I put ICMZ on Vanillux in order to break the Dragon's Den after terminating Corrosive Mist. Tyranitar and Excadrill are the exact same, thanks to not missing Focus Blast, and Zygarde is here. This time, though, we have an even more powerful attack for it, Sub-Zero Slammer. But even with that, and destroying Dragon's Den, this damn dragon had a Focus Sash. But Vanillux takes 1,000 arrows and smirks at the Zygarde, who is then pinged by Hail to die. Sadly, his smirk is wiped off his face when Primarina was slower and kills him with Moonblast. Now this sucks horribly. I can't kill a Primarina easily, and I get bitten badly going for Swords Dance on Mawile just for her to die to Hyper Voice. I have to lose Drampa too, whose own Hyper Voice fails to kill by less than 1/16 HP, and Primarina knocks him out. But once more, Hail gets kill credit. And then I forget that Heatran is set up to troll Camerupt, who must only use Rock Slide again. It flinched this time! But Trick Room disappoints me. But after Camerupt dies going second, Houndoom goes out, and Blake's advice rings out. Don't flinch. Yeah, don't flinch, Heatran. Don't flinch twice! Dark Pulse took down the Heatran in completely unrealistic fashion, but sadly, Charizard doesn't flinch. Man, something keeps falling apart, but I'm not grasping it. Everything through Zygarde goes the same, but for Primarina, this time Drampa does most of the damage and Mawile just cleans up rather than die. Then for Heatran, I have Mawile remain to pop the stupid balloon, and she is fortunately hit and defeated by Magma Storm. I needed that badly for Camerupt to switch in with the last turn of Trick Room and kill it with Earth Power. Since Trick Room disappeared just then, Heatran's last Pokemon, Charizard X, has no choice but to sign its own death warrant. Destiny Bond takes the victory like it does much too often. Gross fight, but this script, as long as the Focus Blast against Excadrill isn't necessary, is completely consistent. Now it's time to catch the Lava Dome Pokemon, who really left me no room for a shiny catch. I can't even attack and throw a Glitter Ball. I just have to Hail Mary the Glitter Ball, but obviously I hit the 99.6% chance of failure. Master Ball completes the quest. Shiny Heatran incorporates obsidian into its design, looking cool. With this, the earthquake threatening to destroy the mountain settles down, and we return to the Whitaker brothers. Cal thanks us for our help, but Blake objects to such a simple thank you. We just fought an erupting volcano, and won. Cal continues to have a dim attitude of Blake, but the older brother gets annoyed about how much he has to do to earn just a smile from Cal. Cal then admits that he gets what Blake is saying, that Cal has a hard time just feeling things. He says he had still much to learn before Kiki was lost, but Blake says he'll be his teacher then. Cal throws it back that Blake has much to learn too. Blake thinks that's fair and says that Cal can be his teacher. Blake makes it clear he wants to be on our side and asks if Cal will work with him. Cal agrees, as the two decide staying in the middle of a toxic volcano is not good for the lungs. They invite me to get out of here. Landing in front of the nightclub, you can guess that Blake's here now. He says that even though he's not sure playing the hero is his thing, it beats the alternative. Cal, meanwhile, is unsure what to think about Blake being here and wanting to help, but in any case, he's glad about it. We are nearly done with this tier of quests now. There are only 2 left. One small and one very large. So of course, let's go do the small one. Alastasia's quest at the Mirage Tower in the desert. You could get there one of 2 ways. The way you should go, which I remembered too late, was to fly to Train Town and use the diamond warp in one of the train car houses to teleport right to Mirage Tower. Instead, I walked like a chump all the way through the desert again, and I didn't even find any shinies for it. At the tower, you'll look at the ponds here, but nothing has changed about them. Of course, there's not only these ponds around the tower. Pass through the entire interior of the Mirage Tower in order to find the ponds in the other version of the tower exterior. Side note, remember when I said that I didn't complete the Mirage Tower stuff until way later? This was when I meant. In my last file, I didn't do these puzzles until this moment. It kind of shocked me to find those prizes, including Aegislash, were locked away so late in post-game. How little I knew. Anyway, we're now in the fragmented version of the towers outside, and sure enough, these ponds are diveable, and beneath the water is a gate to the new world. It takes you to a place called the Splash Grounds, and this place is far more complete than anything we've seen so far. An entire castle submerged underwater. You swim inside, and very quickly, in this eroding castle, you find a relic copper. Interesting. One of the coins just like the submerged city in Azurine Lake. You're going to find many of these kinds of coins scattered about, and through this inconspicuous door, you can find a Z-cell. Head back and through that large entryway, and in front of a mural, you'll spot 3 pedestals. Upon each of them is an item called a Manaphy Gem. That jives with the fact that the pools we dove into were the ones where we caught Fion. Now you look at the wall-mounted carving and find that, despite missing many letters, it is legible in our language. It speaks of how a supposed higher being appeared to a group of people. This being, though, acted like a child, and they soon found that this being's actions would reduce this castle to a watery grave. They sealed it away with 3 gems, and warn against those who come after that only destruction awaits within. Disregard their warning because we're a video game character, and use one of the 3 Manaphy gems on the doorway up the stairs. It opens wide to our key, and we plunge further in. Speaking of video game character, ignore your sensibility to go through the smaller and closer door first. Instead, you should go through the larger and farther door. Pick up coins as you go until you reach this end cap room to find another Z-cell. Quick update on the Gather Cube, we are up to 31. Now head back to the other door you skipped and swim up the stairs to find more murals to read. These seem to predate the warning outside, talking more about the original arrival of the creature, starting with how this people were suffering through drought. That's when the Pokemon appeared, having control over water like none they'd ever seen before. Up the stairs in the next hall, we find the second sealed door. Another Manaphy Gem opens the way to a wide hallway leading to another tablet. The writing speaks of how the creature would love to water their plants and stay with them through the night if they read its stories. The years to come were joyful. They eventually gave the Pokemon this entire castle as thanks for its presence, complete with a throne for it to rest on. The Pokemon loved this place, and danced with the people that live there. Nothing else is known about why this happiness ended. In the next large room is the last slot for your remaining Manaphy Gem, which takes you up many more flights of stairs into a throne room. Of course, The name of this Pokemon has already been said. Sitting upon the throne, having either betrayed or been betrayed by the people who lived here, is Manaphy. Awakening the mythical Pokemon will indeed incite its wrath. In the depths of underwater, Manaphy begins the fight with a Heliolisk, who uses a seed to change to pure water type and gain speed. That is so incredibly bad for me, as Houndoom cannot possibly go faster and is one-shot. I go into Vanilluxe, which was a really poor move, but Heliolisk fired a Focus Blast that did not find its mark. For that, it feints to Freeze Dry. Now a truly submersible Pokemon appears. Delmise. This was a bad time to use Slowbro just like against Heliolisk, as she's Power Whipped and faints instantly. Mawile does little better, hitting weakness with Sucker Punch, but even surviving an Anchor Shot leaves Delmise on low HP after 2 punches. Mawile is out, Drampa comes in and is hit with an Anchor 2 and defeats Delmise. And then next is Drampa. Sadly, my Drampa is outmatched with no Trick Room, especially when it forsakes its type to become water as well. Vanilluxe tries to Freeze Dry it too, but it is actually faster here and Calm Minds, making Freeze Dry only do enough to infuriate it. A Water Pulse that is boosted more than once drowns Vanilluxe, and Camerupt... Why did I come all the way here with Camerupt? So fighting this entire battle underwater is going to be crazy, and the seed effect making them water type is annoying. So instead, I put Dive on Slowbro to make this water surface, where I can then freeze the water to make the fight to my liking. Camerupt and Mawile are replaced with Galvantula and Alakazam, who are both more suited to fighting these water types. Slowbro went up front too to see if she survives Parabolic Charge from Heliolisk. She actually can! Trick Room starts, and all I can do with Slowbro is bring our fight to the surface, though the attack did no damage to the dry-skinned Heliolisk. I tried going to Drampa to hit the currently water type with Energy Ball, only for Delmise to rise impossibly to the surface. However, Drampa does an amazing job, blizzarding its grass type to beat it and freeze the water surface. Now I have a strong advantage, since their elemental seeds will still boost their speed while I'm using Trick Room and hurt them with spikes. But to show up immediately, as if prepared for such a situation, is Tyranitar. However, I find out after it survived an Energy Ball that it had no intention of breaking the ice. It tried to break Drampa's face with Focus Blast, only to miss it. Epic. Second Energy Ball puts it down, and the Mythical is upset. Manaphy is coming out here. Vanilluxe goes out to meet it, but with a Freeze Dry, even boosted, leaves Manaphy with a third of its HP left as it uses the Fairy Z move, Twinkle Tackle. Vanilluxe couldn't care less about that, surviving with over half. He finishes off Manaphy, but now he ran out of Trick Room. This is better than usual though. Heliolisk is next, and it has no seed anymore, so Galvantula goes out and can go first to Sticky Web to help with the other 2 remaining Pokemon. He even survives a Surf, so he can crit a Bug Buzz to almost take down Heliolisk. Galvantula gives the floor to Mega Alakazam, and he traces Dry Skin. Beautiful. Now the expected best type in this fight can't even hurt him. Heliolisk is finished, but when Drampa is coming back out here, I decide to drop the Dry Skin to let Vanilluxe easily beat it. The last Pokemon is Nidoking, and I believe that with Sticky Web, Vanilluxe could maybe outspeed it to finish the fight. Unfortunately, it had an Elemental Seed to gain 1 net speed stage, and go first with Earth Power. Then Vanilluxe balances on its Stalactite with 5 HP, and the Clutch Master blizzards Nidoking to win. What a fight! I've said it already, but being able to manipulate field effects is your best bet to win some of these high-powered fights. That team was very prepared to be in the water, but not on the ice. Manaphy's Anomaly Cloak dissipates, and we have a sizable number of Pokemon remaining for a shiny catch. I hit it with 2 blizzards to bring it down to yellow, but after one glitter ball fail, it going for Aqua Ring portends a long drawn out two throws! Excellent! That was not going to be fun. We took Manaphy as shiny, but this time, its shiny variant is not more exciting. Rather the opposite. It takes on a depressing gray tint, but of course, this is Reborn. When the battle ends, the floor breaks open to reveal a shortcut leading back to the entrance. Go through to go right to the front gate of the castle, where you are immediately assailed by Lynn's voice again. She then asks a question you wouldn't expect. Why does the New World have lore? She just made it, and yet it came with a history that never happened. Are you saying that your own powers are creating things you're not aware of? That may be even more dangerous than anything you do intentionally. But of course, what could be worse than that is when she decides to destroy, as she does with this entire realm. Nah, that takes effort, she says. You are such a terrible god. She then makes the connection of this place to Arceus. It had done the same thing. It didn't exist, then it made itself and its own history. She wonders, could she do that for herself? Make history be instead one where she already won? Of course not. How boring, she then says. She says it's ridiculous that two little girls became the most powerful beings anyway. Two. She snaps out of her meandering and leaves us to our continuing struggle to confront her. We exit this pocket of the New World and continue to the end of Mirage Tower to then come back out to actual reality again. And now, there is nothing else to do. Only one quest remains, the one from Zero. That leads us back to Labradora, to the LCCC yet again. Return to where we led Flora, to the body of Sigmund. Only now, instead of the pulse machine and body, a New World door has appeared. Before you enter this door, make sure you have batteries for your remote PC or a save point to revert to before going into the New World. But upon entering the door, you'll find this does not look much like the New World. It is much closer to the Void. When you nervously travel north, you're going to see something very disconcerting. It's the orphanage from Lapis, here in the Void. Out front also is a woman. One we don't know, but saw in a place like this, after Glass Hell. This time, she is aware of us, and says that many things that don't belong have collected here. One of them is her. Another is me, along with memories, wishes, and other precious unreal things. We may see what we seek, but we should remember, this may be a dream. Then the woman vanishes, and you are left with one option. Enter the orphanage, an action that shaped our journey in ways we could have never understood or realized. And doing so now is no different, because you are now Sigmund, coming home from his first day of school. Your player name and your trainer card reflect as being Sigmund Connell as a child. Sigmund walks to the kitchen where his parents sit, and they ask how his day was. Sigmund acknowledges as his father inquires that it was suitably productive. Sigmund's father expects more than proficiency from him. Then his mother tells him to bring his sister tea, that the doctor has prescribed to help raise her spirit. He goes to get it, and then he walks into the next room where a young girl lays in bed, and Sigmund gives the tea to his sister, Lizzie. But his sister doesn't want to drink it, saying its taste is horrendous. She asks if Sigmund made friends at school. That's not what he's there for, he replies. Instead there to learn. but Elizabeth thinks he can still do both. She complains about the tea again and asks Sigmund to dump the tea into the plant to save her. He's the only one who can. He does so. His mother then calls out to let Lizzie sleep, telling him to go study and definitely don't read comics. He shouldn't bother his parents anymore, as they are dealing with these complicated papers over profits, property values, and notice of eviction. Sigmund goes to his room and begins studying the boring math book. Another day, when their parents are away, Sigmund and Lizzie go outside to the surrounding forest to help her get fresh air. She's excited to go out and run in the beautiful forest, saying why else would they move here? But as she frolics, Sigmund trailing behind, the first piece of a puzzle appears. Sigmund catches up to Lizzie, and in front of them, unaware, is a Pichu. She asks if she could be a trainer someday, and Sigmund affirms it to her. In that case, with this Pokeball she found in Head, the journey begins. But this journey is not carefree and whimsical, as their mother yells at Lizzie later for staining her new dress, bringing up so kindly how much of a strain she is with her medical expenses. All Lizzie tries to say is she's sorry, as the mother exasperatedly asks what's wrong with her and what can they do to help her. The mother then yells at Sigmund too for letting her run off, and though his father first says boys will be boys, he expects him to be a man instead. As for the Pichu, money comes up again, as the mother angrily scolds Lizzie for thinking they could feed it. They can barely feed the two of them, but the father asserts that Sigmund may keep it if he achieves good grades, and that the mother may not overrule his decision. If the grades slip, the Pichu is released. Sigmund understands, and so does his mother. Another day, as Sigmund comes home to find a new doctor speaking to his mother about Lizzie. He says that they will begin a new, more aggressive solution, warning to mind the side effects and precautions. The mother will do anything for Lizzie. But as the doctor leaves, he bumps into Sigmund, and he wants to know what's wrong with Lizzie. She's very sad, he tells the boy. That's what the previous doctor said, Sigmund tells him. Well, medicine is an imperfect science. They'll get to the bottom of it, the doctor assures. The mother tells Sigmund to go study now because she must get dinner ready for the father. Sigmund talks to Lizzie, and she asks if he thinks anything is wrong with her. He can't understand what is wrong, and neither can she. She wishes she could just go to school like Sigmund and live a normal life. Another day, Sigmund is asked to bring Lizzie the new pills. Sigmund faithfully brings them, but Lizzie refuses them. She doesn't like them. When she's on them, she doesn't feel like herself. And as soon as she starts to feel normal again, next pill. Sigmund says it's okay. She doesn't have to take them. Another day, Sigmund comes home as a girl leaves. Sigmund is asked to bring more pills. Sigmund hears from his mother that they must trust in the doctors to have her take the pills, even if Sigmund and the mother don't like it. Lizzie said the girl that left was a friend from before, except she thinks she worried her. She's not like herself. But the girl said she saw a shooting star and wished that Lizzie would be okay. Except Lizzie wonders if that shooting star can only make one wish. If so, she wouldn't want to take away someone else's wish. She's not worth it. Another day, Sigmund comes home to hear his father roaring at the doctor. Sigmund enters his father's office to find him berating the doctor about Lizzie worsening. The doctor says they are doing everything they can, then insinuating that maybe the parents are not creating a positive environment. The father is short to this. They moved out here into the middle of nowhere for that reason. The doctor thinks the home environment could be improved. The father thinks this is an accusation and asks what lies has Lizzie told. The father gets angrier about being told how to behave and tells the doctor he needs to find a solution, either through more drugs, therapy, or even electroconvulsive treatment. The doctor nervously explains that ECT is generally outlawed, but the father instead accuses him of something. That the doctor is maintaining Lizzie's sickness instead of curing it for his own benefit. The doctor tries to deny this, but is told instead that he is no longer required here. The doctor leaves as the father turns his attention and anger on his son next. "Find a way to make yourself useful," the father growls. And so Sigmund asks further about something. What about the electroconvulsive thing? But it's not like his father knows anything about that. He then yells at Sigmund to get out and stop wasting his precious time. Sigmund goes to see his sister, there being a new chime show in the room. Lizzie sleeps despite its ringing. Another day, Sigmund comes home to more dissonance. His father now angrily confronts his mother about having burned dinner. She begs for forgiveness, but the father continues to badger why she hadn't already fixed it. He says he gives her luxury to snack like a pig all day, and says her burning the meal and having nothing else to use was just carelessness. He says if he makes a mistake, it could cost him thousands. If she makes a mistake, she knows nothing will happen. He will simply suffer and forgive her every time, because he's that kind of man. He should know to expect mistakes, especially from her. Sigmund enters his room and denies he heard anything. Everything is all right, especially since he found a book to learn more about electric therapy theory. Another day, Sigmund comes home and Lizzie asks for him. He's surprised she's awake, but she says that everything hurts. Since she stopped using the pills, she can't sleep, but doesn't feel awake. She's desperate and asks Sigmund if they can do anything. He believes there is one thing. He brings out Pichu and tells it it's time to try their plan out. The Pichu turns to Lizzie and gives her a jolt. Lizzie jumps, but says that maybe she feels better. She might be able to sleep now. Sigmund feels proud to have helped. The puzzle continues to come together. Another day, Sigmund returns home. His mother is here, but Lizzie whispers to him. She wants him to use Pichu again. He's worried. Their mother is right outside. She begs him, though. 2 weeks without pills have put her through hell, as she reveals their mother has a stash of the pills hidden away. She wants to take a couple more, just to take away this pain. Sigmund warns against this, but finally agrees instead to using Pichu. But this is when their mother discovers this. She screams at Sigmund to put away Pichu, despite Lizzie trying to take the fall for him. The mother confiscates the Pichu, and Sigmund is banished to his room. Another day, his mother waits for him to get home, then tells him to go directly to his room. There will be no more incidents. Another day, Lizzie's well-being is none of his concern anymore. Another day. Another day. Then Sigmund enters his room again, and through the window, he spots a shooting star, and he wishes, "Holy fuck, I'm me again." After days of dissonance and strife, I now find myself in this half-unreal room of another person's memory, and something has appeared nearby. It is Jirachi, the mythical wish-granting Pokemon, the one who you start to realize is far more connected to all of this than any other, maybe even Arceus itself. Once again, in a world where reality is impossible to differentiate from dreams, there is one truth. This Jirachi is within an anomaly, and so we must overcome it in battle. So here comes that psychic terrain I mentioned earlier, even though Starlight Arena is one of Jirachi's preferred battlefields. Instead, it leads on psychic terrain with Lucario to Houndoom. The first turn is completely in my favor though. Flamethrower easily one-shots Lucario. To the Sylveon coming next, Slowbro prepares to Trick Room, but seeing it Calm Mind is bad news. I want to get Mawile out here immediately, but she may get decimated on a switch. Instead, Slowbro fires a pathetic Psychic to remove a special defense stage and feints to Moonblast. Mawile emerges and ignores that special defense to kill Sylveon with Iron Head. But now I have to fight Delphox, and my best choice is Camerupt. However, using Tectonic Rage on it was a fool's errand. Focus Sash keeps it alive, and Psychic blanks Camerupt. I bring out Vanilluxe to start Hail in order to mitigate future Sashes, beat Delphox, and am now faced with Jirachi itself. Then I found out that my Drampa doesn't have Flamethrower currently, so my ability to beat it is pretty much nil. Vanilluxe remains and puts up a light screen while it Calm Minds. Even though it makes Blizzard do barely anything, it does freeze, and now I want to go to Houndoom. It defrosts just then, but Psychic fails on him. Then Trick Room ends, giving him the chance to attack first. But Dark Pulse cannot do much to the overwhelming power it accrued already, as it avoids flinching and Calm Minds again. Another lack of flinch then sees Houndoom faint to Moonblast. Even with Light Screen, the rest of my team is utterly powerless against Jirachi. In the second try, after defeating Lucario the same, I do test if I can Trick Room and switch to Mawile for Sylveon. No. So the third try, we lose Slowbro again to beat Sylveon. Delphox comes out, and this time Drampa takes it on. His Hyper Voice can't kill, but its Psychic does not kill Drampa either. Instead, the Angry Dragon finishes Delphox, only for me to realize that I still did not put Flamethrower back on him, so he has to leave for Camerupt. Jirachi can still survive through a Tectonic Rage! Psychic floors Camerupt again, Drampa cleans up the Mythical, and then Life Orb mops him up. We still have Trick Room, so Mawile goes out to then encounter Gallade, which gets jealous of Mega Mawile, so it Megas too. It still feints to a play rough, but at the last second, Trick Room gave out before a Starmie hit the field. That Starmie is laughing at Mawile, who can't use Sucker Punch on it, but Houndoom laughs at it and uses Destiny Bond, while it helplessly murders Houndoom. Another fight that felt bad at first, but all said and done, it should be consistent the way I won. So now, it's time to catch the Pokemon that Anna claims restarted the conflict with Meteor to let us win. I tried very hard to catch it, whittling it down with Vanilluxe, and even allowing Mawile to stand there as my last Pokemon while I threw one more Glitter Ball. When she took a last resort though, my stomach dropped. She lived it well, but that's when I gave it up and used a Reborn Ball. If you did catch it shiny, you'd get a really nice treat. Jirachi adapts the Starlight Arena into its crown and sashes. Sigmund then wishes that Lizzie makes a full recovery. What are the odds, he then wonders? It will even listen to him. As he learns, it did not listen. Sigmund finds himself in the void, with his parents and others gathered here. They weep, as Lizzie's friend murmurs how Lizzie found a bottle of the pills and downed them all. She won't respond anymore. Sigmund falls from then on. I'm back to myself again, but the environment is more concrete and hostile. It's the orphanage. You can break into the cells here to pick up light shards, which I do immediately. Shut up, Lynn. There's a different shiny object in the center cell, but first, if you were curious enough to go backwards, then instead of the void, You are now personally in Sigmund's father's office. And now, adult Sigmund is here. It is during a time in which his father had just passed away, leaving this same house from those awful memories to him. Sigmund has no intention in keeping it, as it only reminds him when he wasn't allowed to save Lizzie. Instead, the value of the house will be used to create his own home for children, to save them from people like his father. He will save the children, then finding an ad for land in Reborn City. With that, he leaves this house, never to return. Now take your Z-cell for witnessing the memory of somebody else again. If you attempt to go down the west stairs, you'll be stopped by an unseen force. So instead, you approach the object in the center room. When you do, you will feel a sinister energy. When you challenge it, who appears next will only fill you with confusion and dread, as they are encased in the umbral aura. You think that you don't know this person, but you've seen their name once before. You thought one umbral battle was enough in this episode? No. Now you face Umbral Yuffie on psychic terrain again. No time to think. A base Rotom appears first. Houndoom has to take a Thunderbolt to blast it with 2 Dark Pulses, and then he's warned of Miss Magius next. I don't take the bait that Houndoom has a type advantage to it. I switch to Vanillux and I go right for Light Screen to support my team. It may not matter now, as it went for triple special attack Nasty Plot. I thought it got greedy going for another to maximize, except it was confident in surviving a blizzard. Vanillux is melted in a mystical fire hotter than the sun. Now though, Houndoom can outspeed to remove that death-slinging ghost. But pure frustration is coming next. Mimikyu. At this point, I just let Houndoom break the disguise, wishing again in that moment he wasn't choiced, and Mimikyu claws him. Light Screen is gone, and Slowbro goes to Trick Room, only for Mimikyu to Swords Dance. Fortunately, it could never Shadow Sneak here, so it's wide open. Not necessarily to Slowbro, who only does half with Psychic before Shadow Claw cuts her up. Mawile can quickly take it down, only for something terrifying to appear, especially when Sucker Punch is off limits. Hoopa! I leave Mawile in case it's unbound, and Fairy will hurt it well. It isn't, and Fairy won't do as much to the Ghost Psychic type. It won't do anything if it just misses, but Hoopa used a seed that gave it special attack at the cost of self-confusion. Please give me a break. Yes, thank goodness. Now Play Rough will probably... No. Wait, second confusion hit? Holy shit! Ridiculously lucky. But now we're going to get a mirror match. Mawile. And yet again, it's Mega. The frequency of Mega Mawile is the reason I started using her late in my last file. But this is easily dealt with. Camerupt is slower and encases it in the earth with special attack Tech Rage. This coaxes out Yuffie's last Pokemon, Decidueye. What I can't believe is that Trick Room kept up this long. It lets Camerupt erupt with Lava Plume, but it's tough, and responds with its own Z move, Never-Ending Nightmare. Apparently, I count horribly, because even after Camerupt fainted, I still had Trick Room. So that means Mawile can come in and... Come on! Another Play Rough miss! I know I got double confusion luck, but misses irritate me. It lets Decidueye follow its first Shadow Ball and Special Defense drop with another lethal one. I can go to Drampa to nullify that attack, but he has to live something. Can he live Nature Power Psychic? Yes! One more Dragon Pulse takes down Decidueye, and we somehow got a first try on an Umbral fight. That was incredible. All of those Pokemon, as usual, were fully maximized, and yet I found a pathway to take that win. Though again, probably all thanks to confusion luck in my favor. I doubt I had the same luck last time with this team, though to be honest, I don't remember at all how the fight with Yuffie went for me, as it was quickly overshadowed by what came next. This silent person now speaks as she says she doesn't want to wake up. Now the Umbra aura is gone, and she actually sees us, unlike practically everything else in this bizarre realm. She says she shouldn't be here, and neither should we. She has little patience to stay and quickly bolts down the stairs to the left. Use the second light shard and follow her. But going down the stairs will drop you into a familiar scene. We are in the lobby of the orphanage, but Yuffie has suddenly shown up at the front door rather than at these stairs. Here in this room are Charlotte, Noel, and Anna, the last of whom greets Yuffie, eerily similar, and asks why she's mopey. Somewhat against her will, Yuffie is pulled in and introduced to everyone, like Anna and her Jirachi. A real, physical Jirachi, not a doll. And when you read the rest of this dialogue, you start to realize you've heard this conversation before. This was the conversation I had with Anna when I first met her. Except, things are different. Yuffie, unlike me, can talk back and tell her she's not interested in talking with them. She only wanted to see the doctor. Charlotte, nearby, isn't surprised when she doesn't want to chit-chat, especially since their status as League members isn't that important to her. Yuffie Middleward, after all, is Reborn's ghost leader. What are we witnessing? You know that it isn't the past, right? But now Sigmund, fully grown and much more contextualized, enters the room and greets Yuffie. He invites her into his office. Anna tells her it's not too late to run away from here forever, but Yuffie needs to do this. Charlotte then bets that she won't last a day, but Anna gives an unexpected response. Anna doesn't understand who she is, because Anna says Yuffie looked like a boy. Everyone in the room tells her otherwise, saying she's seeing things again. She insists Yuffie was a boy, asking Nostra if she's right. When the Jirachi cries, everyone vanishes, and Yuffie is next to me. Yuffie is very unhappy to be here, and that goes for more than this orphanage. She warns me we never speak about what we see here after this. But now, we have no choice but to ride this out, as she goes into the room beyond. Going into that room, we find Yuffie and Sigmund. Yuffie makes it clear that she's only here because she has to get a letter from the doctor for another physician. Sigmund asks her why she thinks she is forced to do this, but Yuffie has no patience, asking instead what she needs to do or say to get him to give her a letter. He addresses her as Miss Middleward again, and she snaps at him for doing so. He apologizes, but says that doling out pills for a person just demanding them is not immediately advisable. He wants to make sure the treatment she's after is right for her. Yuffie isn't interested in exploring options. This is the one she needs. She says she will have a breakdown in this room if that'll prove it. Sigmund decides to proceed then with the question that explains Yuffie's struggle. Why does she not want to be a woman? Yuffie throws it back because she's already not a woman, saying the question makes as much sense when asked of him. Yuffie accuses him that this session is more to his benefit than hers, and says that it sounds like he's trying to maintain this situation rather than try to cure her. She's angry that she keeps coming here as her body is moving further down a road that's wrong, and he stonewalls her. Sigmund, though, hearing things that he heard in his past, has nothing more to say. He tells her to get out. When she does, the two vanish, and the Yuffie that sees us is here. She never got a letter. And you better save before walking through the door to the south, unless you like skipping through even more text boxes. I'll explain why once we get through all these other text boxes. Now, we're suddenly in a room we've never seen before. The mythical gym arena in the orphanage. We have stepped back into a past of a reality we don't know, and seem to be even further back in time than when we met the orphanage prisoners. As besides Anna, Noel, and Charlotte, Laura is also here. This is again a memory of Yuffie's, as the others show her the arena. She says it looks nice, otherwise not caring so much. That's when Anna says they should test it out. Yuffie doesn't get why, but Laura admits they heard shouting during her talk with Sigmund. Anna thinks this will be a great way to blow off steam and get closer as friends. Yuffie asks if it's alright they use the arena, as Charlotte says who's going to stop them. They're league professionals. Anna says it will be their secret, and that she and Noel will go first. The younger siblings take the right side of the arena, and Yuffie decides to go along with it. However, that's when we realize that this Yuffie is simultaneously the past version and the one that sees me. She turns to me and bids me to stand at her side, to fight out of this blast from the past. Of course, there isn't a choice. We stand beside her, as Anna then asks Yuffie who she's talking to. Yuffie replies, "Just my shadow," which has Anna call me Mr. Shadow. All of these hints and revelations you may be having, well, put them aside, because now you've stepped into a terrible, terrible trial. Welcome to the third mandatory triple gauntlet. The Hoopa train quest from last episode really stole the thunder from this one, as I had been expecting to reveal this as the next triple gauntlet since Glass Hell. But like you already know, Hoopa's was optional. This one is not. And it's time for my comeuppance. What does that vague statement mean? I'll explain once it becomes relevant. As has become common in the hardest challenges of this game, I'm using the same Elite Four team here as you've already seen with Jirachi and Yuffie, but you better believe the remote PC is ready to change that. This gauntlet, as long as you ignore the Hoopa gauntlet, marks another first. You will face the utter maximum number of opponents that this game will throw at you in a triple gauntlet. Not 30 like in Glass Hell, not 32 like in Fiore, 36 Pokemon. I have no idea what most of these Pokemon are right now. All we can do is slam our head into this wall and see what gives first. Thus, Stage 1 begins against Noel and Anna, our second battle ever with the Star-Crossed Elite. And yet again, it's on psychic terrain, facing down Alolan Ninetales and Purugly. Houndoom is joined by Yuffie's Rotom, the Ghost type being strange here. Noel can ignore Ghost attacks, while Ghost can sneak around Anna's Fairy typing to hurt Psychic. All I know is that Ninetales has to die. Hail is started, so I have to hope it doesn't have a Focus Sash. It doesn't. I used Flamethrower to make absolutely sure I hit it before Aurora Veil appeared, and it fainted. Rotom shocks Purugly with Thunderbolt for over half and paralyzes, then takes similar damage from Shadow Ball. Houndoom being locked into Flamethrower means his best option is to KO Purugly before it acts again. He does so, but Gardevoir next has a similar idea and knocks out Rotom. Then, we are shown something very interesting. Yuffie sends out Hoopa. How utterly strange that 2 episodes in a row, we have a triple gauntlet with a Hoopa as our ally. Across from us is Pirouette Meloetta now. That one is less defensive specially, so I aim Flamethrower at it. Unfortunately, it stays up, Then both Houndoom and Hoopa are both knocked out by Moonblast and Knockoff respectively. That was not a good turn. Then I make a really bad play. Trick Room should have been going up this turn, but instead I brought out Camerupt, hoping to use Earthquake against them, which would pair well with Mismagius beside me. Camerupt never gets to move, as after Mismagius kills Meloetta with Dazzling Gleam, Gardevoir goes first and knocks him out with Psyshock. I've given up way too much already. Now Slowbro has to Trick Room or we lose. Licky Licky shows up from Null, getting 2 special attack stages without the confusion thanks to Own Tempo, but Mismagius can one-shot Gardevoir with Hex. But Licky Licky shoots Slowbro with Thunderbolt. Yes! Despite it doing the last thing I wanted to see, Slowbro lived and Trick Roomed. But Anna's ready for that with her own Slowbro. Then, another immensely lucky thing occurs. Anna's Slowbro used Blizzard, and it missed mine. That allows my Slowbro to take half off of Licky Licky before it also Blizzards to actually hit my Slowbro and knock her out. But despite taking 2 Blizzards, Mismagius lived and responds by killing the other Slowbro. I want some group attacking now, so out goes Drampa. Anna, though, has a Mega Deontay. It still has to be Hyper Voice, which goes first, hurts Deontay and beats Licky Licky, but then it attacks with Diamond Storm. I was vaguely sure that Drampa would live, and he got to go Berserk too. But what was crazy was Mismagius surviving and attacking again for a bit more damage. This prompts Null to send his off-type ace, Clefable. What's really unfortunate is that Berserk Hyper Voice does not kill either opponent. Clefable attacks Mismagius before it can attack, and Deontay finishes off Drampa. This is making me sweat. They've lost a lot, but so have we. My own reliably slow Pokemon left is Mawile, and that's when Yuffie sends out the same Pokemon, and they both Mega. As well, I taught something to Mawile for this gauntlet. Rock Slide, the same move that Yuffie's Mawile uses, and their side crumples. But Anna had yet to deploy her ace, Jirachi, and Null sends out a Mega Audino. I went for Rock Slide again, not expecting Audino to be Mega, and my Mawile does little, while taking a hard hit from Jirachi's Iron Head after it barely survived a knockoff. But next turn when we both go for Rock Slide, it beats Jirachi, but leaves Audino on a tiny chunk of HP, as its Hyper Voice chips Mawile down very low. Anna sends out her last Pokemon, Aria Meloetta. I'm completely at the mercy of Audino, who is somehow slower than us, and Mawile can't attack once more. Yuffie's can though, and beats Audino, taking half from Aria, who can also only Hyper Voice. Trick Room is gone though, and I only have Vanillux left. And Null saved his worst for last. Porygon Z. Fuck, why so late? But then, this astounding turn occurs, where everything falls into place. Porygon Z went first, only to use Z conversion to Quint boost and become Psychic type. Meloetta also goes first with Psychic against Vanillux, but he stands up to it. Rock Slide from Mawile kills Meloetta. It hits Porygon Z and does a lot. Vanillux uses Blizzard, it goes down to 1 HP, and then Hail beats the Porygon Z, and we win the fight! Wow! No, don't get excited. That fight was so wildly inconsistent, it surely won't go that way again if we don't beat this gauntlet now. When the fight ends, Anna says something peculiar. She didn't see me at first, but now fully understands. But ignore that. Charlotte and Laura are going to take up opposing position to us now. A different set of siblings battle us, yet again one gym leader and one elite. The second battle starts with Whimsicott, and now the other kind of Ninetales, which starts Harsh Sunlight. That is good for Houndoom, and he definitely needs to rely on Heat Wave if we want to have a chance to take a lead. The first turn is something else, as Whimsicott still managed to go first and Moonblast Houndoom. He lives through it, and his Heat Wave washes over both enemies. But that damn Cotton Ball had Focus Sash. However, it got burned, so it will definitely die. Meanwhile, both Ninetales and Rotom use Hex, but not on each other as I would have wanted. Rotom is hit with Hex but doesn't die, but uses its own to beat Whimsicott. So unnecessary, but there was no way to know that. Now Laura sets Sceptile up in front of us, and unlike herself in the future, or however this relates to the real world, she does use Mega Evolution. Now, Sceptile is no longer weak to fire, and that makes it live by a fingernail. It comes back with Rock Slide, and with Ninetales as Hex, our side goes down. Slowbro absolutely can't come out in front of a Mega Sceptile, but with no Sucker Punch available, what do I do here? I decide the best thing I can do is kill Sceptile no matter what, by starting Hail, and that way, fire damage is reduced from Charlotte from now on. So regrettably, Sceptile uses Nature Power Psychic to harm Vanillux, but even though he lives, Mismagius's Dazzling Gleam only kills the Grass starter, and Ninetales beats Vanillux before he can move. I have no more time. I must use Trick Room, even though next from Laura is Celebi. Thankfully, Mismagius finishes off Ninetales first, and Psyshock from Celebi hits Mismagius, unfortunately killing it. Trick Room begins as for some reason, Charlotte sends out a Noivern. First, why? As in, why does a Fire-type trainer have Noivern? And second, why? As in, why did you send a Noivern into Trick Room? I surely don't care what either answer is, because Slowbro has Blizzard, and it one-shots Noivern. Really sadly, Hoopa next to me, going before Celebi, had used the seed to become more powerful but confused, and then hits itself. Across the way, Celebi had the same, but did attack Hoopa with Psyshock, but it lived it. Then Chandelure comes out and also uses a seed. I'm annoyed that I still have Dive and not Surf here with Slowbro, which wouldn't kill Celebi anyway. Blizzard is the choice again, which beats Celebi, but that damn ceiling fixture is slower than Hoopa and gets the Heat Wave to hit us, beating the Trickster. Two Fairy Steel types then emerge, Yuffie's Mega Mawile and Laura's Magearna. Again with you. I have nothing better to do but blast down Chandelure with Psychic, which does the job, but Magearna avoids a flinch from Rock Slide to then Dazzling Gleam us, Slowbro fainting. Mawile is alive despite Magearna having so many stat ups, and I decide to have my Mawile join it. Charlotte sends out Victini. Crap, we need to kill that! And the only way that makes sense is hoping that Yuffie also uses Rock Slide. She does, but then hers missed Victini, and Magearna still didn't die. It did flinch, which was great, but Victini avoids a flinch and confusion to kill one Mawile. Yuffie's. That's better than killing my full HP one, but things are just not going well enough. What was good is that Hail persisted and knocked out Magearna. But a very tanky Tangrowth is next, and Decidueye has little reasonable chance to kill that. It has to be Rock Slide in order to kill Victini in time, but not soon enough. Tangrowth just psyched up to gain 4 special attack stages. Fuck, and it will go first next turn with that power. Rock Slide takes out Victini, but it and Shadow Ball don't kill Tangrowth. Then Charlotte sends out Blaziken, and like her sister, Mega evolves the Hoenn starter. To my dismay, Mawile is attacked with Nature Power Psychic from the Tangrowth, and that beats her. Remarkably, after blowing on the Tangrowth to finish it off, Decidueye then survives Heat Wave from Mega Blaziken. Not sure why it didn't use a physical fire move, but 130 special attack isn't bad either. We still have Trick Room, which is mammothly important. I go to Camerupt, who I decide needs badly to kill Blaziken, while Lilligant arrived. He does so, Tectonic Rage one-shotting the chicken, but Decidueye's Psychic does not beat Lilligant, and its Psychic beat Camerupt. And finally, Trick Room is gone. That leaves me with only Drampa. And besides Lilligant, which is Laura's last, Charlotte sends out her last, Moltres. Fucking hell, at the end of this fight there's another legendary? But then, Lilligant attacks Decidueye with Psychic to beat it, and Moltres' attack was Heat Wave. Drampa lives that, and screams back with Hyper Voice to take out Lilligant, Moltres down to red. And thank goodness, Yuffie had one more, and it was so nice to see Mimikyu right here. No matter what, Charlotte alone cannot beat us this turn. Mimikyu outspeeds the Firebird, and the second fight has also been won. No! Can't be excited. Don't get excited. Not after that fight that beat us silly, and yet we pulled through. And finally, after this long quest through this mind-bending New World excursion, we finally hear the Overlord's childish voice again. Oh my god, Lyn, will you just shut? That wasn't the Lyn in the sky. Laura responds to Lyn, who is this girl who, as she says, has been here the entire time, when the others believed no one would know we were using the arena. It will take mere moments to realize, no matter how much you'd want to deny it, that this girl is without a doubt the same Lyn that has created the new world. But it's not like you had no idea this would be the case if you played the game like I did. After all, we heard about this before. Don't you remember? Back in episode 9, when we were with Laura in Tanzan Mountain? Let me refresh your memory. As for why Laura hates the number 7, it reminds her of someone who she was further reminded about back in the Meteor base. Sirius mentioned Lyn, and Laura says she knew a Lyn back during her time at the orphanage a couple years ago. She was just younger than Anna and was a manipulative monster. Anyone who had a secret, she would find out and extort them over it. For Laura, all it took was seeing Laura having 8 of something, and Lyn would take one and laugh at her. What happened to this Lyn? One day, when she pulled a trick on Sigmund, he became extremely angry, and they were locked in their cells when he took her to the uppermost floor. She was never seen again. No one knows what happened to her. But of course, Lyn in Meteor is a grown woman. There's no way that the little girl Lyn is the same Lyn that... Now she stands here in some disconnected way, and Laura's description of her is incredibly accurate. She first badmouthed the performance of the 4 League members here, without forgetting to insult Yuffie at the same time. As for what she's doing here, she wants in on the fun too. They always exclude her, so they're going to include her now. And when Noel points out that she doesn't have any Pokemon to fight with, she retorts that she stole 12 from the orderlies. Anna calls her out for this, but Lyn instead makes the claim that Charlotte burned her with a cigarette to force her to steal the Pokemon. Charlotte protests that she absolutely did not, saying she's not allowed cigarettes, only for Lyn to say that she steals them, just like the one Lyn now uses to burn herself, thereby corroborating her own lie. She goes further, role-playing the conversation she dares the others to have with Sigmund, where she outs them all for using the arena without permission. If it weren't for the fact you're a distorted memory, I'd end this entire conflict before it began. Now it's Yuffie who asks Lyn what she wants, as Lyn turns to her and mentions how Yuffie knows, like Lyn, that the rules are for society and not individuals. She could give Yuffie a forgery if she wanted, seeing as how she heard everything between Yuffie and Sigmund. It's clear that Lyn absolutely cares not for anyone but herself. Now she's gotten bored of monologuing, and you learn who the third and final battle is against. Mordant, Urchin, Lyn. who with this distorted reality is going to use all 12 of those stolen Pokemon right now. The actual foe has been revealed, and you must defeat her at the end of this dizzying journey of revelations, at the end of this awful triple gauntlet. And she leads with 2 Togekisses. Yeah, isn't that fucking swell? This time, Houndoom is absolutely not suited to fighting the openers, but I'm not doing the losing play of just destiny bonding at the start of the fight. I'll just Heat Wave and hope. Heat Wave does very little, and Rotom's Thunderbolt does not finish one off, but hope rewards, by letting Houndoom survive an instant Sky Attack and the other Togekiss miss Thunder Wave. But I'll have to hope again that Heat Wave kills that weaker Togekiss now. It doesn't. So Rotom must waste a perfectly good Thunderbolt for 1 HP. But you know what hope gets me? Togekiss 2 uses Twister, and Houndoom still survives! But don't get ahead of yourself. Out next is Blissey. Well, Houndoom's not hurting that. One more Heat Wave hits them, and Rotom can kill the second Togekiss, as Blissey blankets us with a dazzling gleam to finish off Houndoom. The Pokemon that joins Blissey is its pre-evolution, Chansey. Oh no. Eviolite Chansey. Slowbro has come to put up Trick Room, but the problem quickly gets worse. She's never struck because Blissey psyched up for 2 special attack stages and Chansey minimized. Will-O-Wisp hit the Chansey, but we cannot use Slowbro here. We have to kill these things with physical attacks. For that, I have to hope that Camerupt can get out here and live through the turn to Earthquake while Rotom is here to evade it. He does, taking a low Dazzling Gleam, and Blissey is also burned. However, Chansey's second minimize now causes Camerupt's Earthquake to miss it, Blissey not quite losing half either. Then, despairingly, Hyper Voice from Blissey kills Camerupt. Rotom Volt switches against Blissey now to bring in Hoopa. I have to kill these bloated special defense walls, and the best choice is Mawile. With her, I know she will hit Blissey, so she bashes it with Iron Head to take it out. But Chansey has made things worse, by hitting Mawile with Mud Slap to reduce her accuracy, while Hoopa powers through confusion to attempt Psyshock on Chansey, the best thing I could imagine. But it misses the fully minimized Chansey. Then here's an Alakazam. Mega. It's totally open in Trick Room, but I desperately want to hit both with Rock Slide here. This is a huge risk since Mawile is lower on accuracy for a non-100% accurate move, and even when it hits Alakazam, still missing Chansey, it doesn't do half. What's horrible is that Chansey uses Soft Boiled, so even the damage over time is a lost cause. But Hoopa then avoids hurting itself again, and Shadow Ball blasts the Alakazam out. Every turn I feel like I must make the correct decision or lose the whole fight. The decision becomes difficult again when another Togekiss shows up. I can't risk a higher miss chance for lower damage. I have to kill the Togekiss, and Iron Head will do it. Just please don't miss. Yes! Chansey further blinds Mawile with another Mud Slap. But the most important thing happens next, when Hoopa stays clear-headed for the 3rd time and lands Psyshock to one-shot Chansey! Oh shit, no, don't get excited. We now find out that Lynn may have even stolen Sigmund's ace, Electivire, along with a Mega Audino. I should have guessed at Mega Audino, as the Iron Head would have killed it for sure. Instead, it hits Electivire, taking half. Audino horribly psychs up Hoopa to have 4 special attack stages, but Hoopa does the incredible feat of ignoring a max round confusion status, hitting Electivire, and knocking it out. Stop! Don't get excited! The final Pokemon from the left side is a 3rd fucking Togekiss. Mawile missed it with Iron Head. No! Calm Mind on Audino, Air Slash on Hoopa. It didn't flinch. It killed Togekiss. The fight is a 2-on-1. Don't get excited. Trick Room is gone. I switched to Drampa to sack before bringing Slowbro back out. Hoopa does a lot with Psyshock, but Draining Kiss goes for Hoopa. It didn't kill. Hoopa knocks out Audino, don't get excited. Togekiss 5 comes out. Hoopa is faster and kills it, don't get excited. A Clefable comes out and is also outsped in one-shot by Hoopa, get excited. The final Pokemon is also Clefable, get excited. Hoopa goes first and one-shots it with Psyshock, it happened! I beat the Jirachi Quest Triple Gauntlet in one try, just like last time. It fucking happened again! I can't believe it! From the moment I started this series, I feared the comeuppance of this quest. That I would come back to this triple gauntlet that I beat in one try on the most unbelievable fluke, that it would make me suffer without end. Comeuppance never came. The impossible is real. Hoopa! I know now you rewarded me from our fight last episode. You are the hero of this story. After that colossally unlikely and amazing performance, we are given little satisfaction for it. Lynn just blames the staff's Pokemon as Laura tries to give Lynn some kind of positive experience to take away from this. Lynn responds by saying she spit in Laura's shampoo, telling her precise enough details about it that makes Laura run from the room. But now Charlotte is preparing for some escalation, saying that if Lynn is going to burn herself to get Charlotte in trouble anyway, might as well make the entire story true. Noel tries to talk her down. Lynn goads her by asking if she'd like to also burn down the orphanage to kill Laura. To stop a murder from happening just then, Anna rushes forward and gets between them, and tells Lynn, please go. Lynn says nothing, and begins to leave as she's asked. She gives Yuffie one more chance to take a forgery, saying that the doctor will never give it to her. Yuffie won't take it from Lynn either. Lynn runs out of the room, and Yuffie leaves too. At that point, everyone else disappears, leaving you to ponder further, especially about Lynn and Anna being in this same place together. You exit out the other door to finally come to the end of the quest and the final answer the game is going to give you today. We are outside the orphanage again, where this quest started, and Yuffie is here. She says she knows that this entire thing is all within Lynn's world. She says that what we saw was one of her bad memories, but it had one important side effect. Yuffie grew closer to the twins, and it was because of this that Yuffie was all too happy to become their martyr when they had to make a difficult decision. A wish to save the world. It can't be done without sacrifice from a taciturn woman in a black and red suit. She did it willingly, caring not for the body we see here, as she believes she was only forced into it again as a cruel joke from Lynn. She says she's not accepting the body again, and goes back to dream. We already know Yuffie by her dream. For being the sacrifice, Yuffie got so much more out of it than thought possible. To be a guardian with power to make a difference without the dysphoria, as well as the sheer fun of it. To watch new challengers walk into the gym for the first time and feel terror. She wonders if we felt the same. I called you a very friendly individual, and I owe you a lot. Yuffie then says she'll see us again, maybe with a smile. Exit the new world to watch the portal disappear, and another mountain of a quest is completed. Flee the LCCC to return to the nightclub, where you will discover there is another of our friends. Shade, with a smile on his face. Fortune favors the Forsaken, but few find the Forsaken be such forever. The level 125 tier is complete, and thus our level cap is now level 130. 6 new quests have come up, and what is required of us will only increase in intensity. And we'll find that there is much more closure to be had whether we want it or not.